Very good morning, welcome along to round 2 of the 2026 FIA European Rallycross Championship. We're here in Hungary. The red cauldron is ready to bubble over once again to the sound of anti-lag and to internal combustion. Welcome along to day 2. Over the past 24 hours, we've seen some really exciting action, and we're set for it to continue with Q4 and the quarterfinals here today. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Hal Ridge. Hello, mate, how are you?
Fantastic, and what a brilliant day of action we had today. Now it's time for quarterfinals after the final round of qualifying. We saw Q1, Q2 and Q3 yesterday. Q4 is coming right up for RX1 and all the categories. Quarterfinals for RX1 only, and then semi-finals and finals for all of the categories to round out the weekend's action.
Yeah, let's have a look at the point standings then after day 1. So Andreas Bakkerud was your overnight leader, 3 points ahead of Johan Kristoffersson. Q3 was the crucial element for the Norwegian driver to get ahead of the 8-time world champion. Joni Tapanen then in 3rd position ahead of Juha Rukkanen, then Patrick O'Donovan in P5 ahead of Jurit Linnemann, who had a great run in Q3 to catapult himself up the order. Then you've got the likes of Trepak and Baby just on the fringes of the top 10. Top 24 drivers, just to remind you, will progress forwards into those all-important quarterfinals up later on here this morning in RX1, so we'll see how it's going to work out. Let's see whether any of these drivers can get through, because currently they'll be out at the moment. Attila Moser on pole position for Q4 Heat 1 with Bruno Becker, Norbert Beckert and Jan Beckert, a Slovakian trio alongside on that sort of back row of the grid. We'll see how they're going to fare here at this one then. So another 4 laps of action ready to go. Attila Moser was in the wars yesterday. He had a bit of contact with Mark Moser down towards the first corner in Q3 when the heavens had opened. Ended up facing the wrong way. So hopefully he can have a nice clear run in this one and get a good time on the board. Let's see what will happen then as we get ready to go racing for the first time here on Sunday in Hungary. Green light and go. Moser gets away quite well. Likewise, Bruno Becker. Jan Becker's left stranded at the grid as Norbert slots into the outside then. So Moser it is that gets the whole shot as they come over the rise through turn 1. Bruno Becker, though, hot in pursuit behind.
Based on previous pace, this should be a Moser race to win. The quality of the car is that little bit more modern, at least, and better technology than the Citroen DSV behind. But what a fantastic moment for these drivers to race in ostensibly their home round, even if they are from just across the border. And yes, it looks unlikely that they're going to make the quarterfinals later on, but there's a big crowd here this morning at the red cauldron as Becker's right into the rear of Moser, into the hairpin, and yeah, these are 4 laps you should really enjoy.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Bruno Becker to keep the pressure on to Attila Moser then here as they make their way through that final corner at the end of the first lap. Spoke to Bruno in the paddock here the other day, and he said he's just here to have a bit of fun, just to enjoy himself, you know, grateful to be on the European stage and just wants to have a good weekend. Doesn't really matter if he finishes last in the order or if he gets to the quarterfinals, it'll be a bonus, but just got to enjoy yourself, really.
It's just an opportunity that Rallycross offers at the moment, isn't it, at European Championship level, where you can compete at National Championship in a car that's a bit older, and if you're complying with the regulations, then you can come and take on the best in the world. In what other discipline can you line up next to an 8-time world champion on the starting grid? I think it's really special. It's certainly why I started doing European Championship when I did. Moser
very wide,
very wide there, doing his absolute best to make a race of it here.
Yeah, a bit wide through that bottom hairpin bend. Norbert Becker's the only driver that's jokered here then so far. Jan Becker did get going after sort of failing to make it away from the lights a couple of minutes ago, which is good news there, but it's still Moser that leads on the penultimate lap.
Moser needs a good time here because he's 23rd at the moment. Sorry, it's Mark Moser who's 23rd at the moment. Attila Moser is 25th, but only a few points behind. If people run into problems, then it's not out of the question to make the quarterfinals later on. So you do need to extract everything you can out of these 4 laps, but as ever, that depends on what happens later on, and if lots of carnage unfolds, people lose a lot of time, that potential does exist.
Bruno Becker with a big snap into the Joker there. We'll get it out ahead of Norbert then, so it's worked out quite nicely for him. Attila Moser's been able to build out a buffer up to now 5 seconds after that Joker has played out for the Slovakian in 2nd position, so he should have a comfortable cushion as he's now on this final lap to hold on to that race lead. Lap times wise, he's in sort of the mid-46s at the moment, so nowhere near sort of the ultimate pace we've seen from some of the other drivers on the grid, but as we said, a clear run will help his cause. If the other drivers trip over each other in the next heats, then maybe he could progress forwards into the quarterfinals. Here is Attila Moser, just over the crest of the hill. It's where we saw some action in the RX4 Q3 race here yesterday. Into the Joker he goes.
And that's really where you see the difference in a corner like that between those that enjoy driving a rallycross car and are quite good and the very best, because Kristoffersson baby back will be carrying so much more speed than Moser there into that very difficult Joker section.
So Q4 Heat 1 will belong to Attila Moser. Good drive from the man who was, of course, on the fringes of making it into that top 24. The Hungarian in his home crowd will take the win. Bruno Becker over the line in P2, and Norbert Becker will come home in P3 from Jan. So the three Beckers, as we said, probably unlikely they're going to make it through into the quarterfinals. But you never know. Anything can happen in the world of rallycross, and it usually does. Good times on the board, clean races from all four of those drivers, crucially here as well, as Jan Becker completes the field over the line.
Attila Moser's personal best time of the weekend to boot. One of the Beckers behind us in the commentary position, still with the ALS on as he returns to the paddock. Moser, and then the three family members in the following three positions in that one.
Yep, known for building gearboxes, the Beckers over in Slovakia, and well, unfortunately for Jan Becker on the outside, looks like they need to go again on that one because it didn't look like it clunks it into gear. Didn't get away particularly well from the lights, but managed to recover from that. Here are some highlights of the race. As you can see, Attila Moser got the whole shot into one and was never seen again. Bit of pressure from Bruno Becker in the opening couple of laps and a little bit of contact into the hairpin there as well.
On and off the throttle, wasn't he? As you on and off the brake as well, as you saw the car bucking and rising into the hairpin. Very softly sprung the front of these DS3s. Moser, though, taking the race win.
On to Q4 Heat 2 then. Now this one's going to be interesting because I think there's a couple of drivers that are a little bit out of position really in terms of their ultimate pace. This is how the grid lines up. Nils Volland in the Volland Racing Audi on pole with Martin Moser, son of Attila, who we just saw taking the win in the race a couple of moments ago. But Kasper Jansson, crucially, the Swedish driver, one of the young guns that's been coming through the ranks, just 20 years old he is. He's in the middle of the front row, then with Jose Oliveira and Mandy August alongside. Mandy struggled to get away in the Q3 race in the wet conditions yesterday. We know that Munich Motorsport car got away from the lights pretty well in the other heat, so maybe she can spring a surprise here. But these are the drivers that are on the fringes of making it through into the quarterfinals, so they need to have a clear run, especially with a clean race having happened just a couple of minutes ago. Right then, let's get ready as we go racing. Volland gets away well. Jansson also good start. Mandy August on the outside, not so good from Mark Moser and Jose Oliveira. Mandy August up to third place as Volland gets the whole shot. He's side by side with Kasper Jansson for the race lead. They flick it through into the left-hander. Volland holds on as Jansson slots into second.
Oliveira bailed out the throttle early and then came to the inside to try and make up some ground. Didn't really work out. Kind of lucky for Volland and Jansson. They're in a race here with Mandy August, because just like her partner René Munich, they're very respectful in the first corner. And you can make that sort of risky move knowing that she's unlikely to turn you around. Jansson will have wanted to get ahead of Nils Volland, but Volland does have good ultimate pace. So in theory, these shoes should pull away at the front of the order.
Proper slide from Oliveira as he went into the Joker. They're just
been wild this weekend.
He has, yeah. He's had a couple of moments. He tapped it into the barrier earlier on yesterday morning in one lap, and then the lap later he ended up having an even bigger accident, actually. Somehow managed to recover and finish the race, despite the fact that the car looked very second-hand afterwards. But, yeah, it's kind of put on the back foot, really, as we're now heading through Q4. Kasper Jansson, though, still keeping the pressure here on Nils Volland.
Chatted to Kevin Hansen yesterday, 14-time European Rallycross Champions, won the world title with his team for both drivers and teams. He's working with the Janssen squad this weekend for the first time. Said in the interview we had in the broadcast, actually, that he was surprised with the setup that they were running on that Peugeot 208. They're running it themselves for the first time, having bought the car earlier in the year. That base setup thing, Tom, is so important, isn't it, to know where you're starting from. But what Kenneth was saying was he didn't want to come and radically change everything, so they're working from the base that they've already got and trying to evolve it. And Kasper is a super accomplished driver, but you just need to refine every little detail of the car, don't you?
Yeah, and if there's ever a driver or a team member that you want to help set up a Peugeot 208, probably Kenneth Hansen, to be honest with you. Right, Jansson then still on the back of Nils Volland here. Have they built out enough of a gap for Jansson to Joker this time around and just try and duck out, try and get the undercut then here? Mandy August about 3.3 away, and yeah, exactly what I thought Jansson would do. He does. He goes into the Joker. Then can he get this one rotated and come out ahead of Mandy August? It's going to be pretty tight here. He's a bit deep into there, but he does manage to get out ahead. Hopefully he's not damaged the car with that tap into the barrier. And now he's got it all to do to get ahead of Nils Volland, as he'll be on the final lap and into the Joker.
He'll have had the call from his spotter, his dad, on the radio saying it's going to be tight at the merge, you need to maximise the exit, and sometimes you just end up running a bit beat. Still dirt coming out of the rear wheel from where he clouted the barrier. All the dirt will have built up against the wall on the outside. Volland, though, on a big push. His own father, Rolf Volland, on the radio. 22-2 for Volland in the opening sector, 22-0 for Jansen. Jansen's on a charge behind.
Yeah, he's closing that gap down, isn't he, at the moment? We reckon that Volland will retain first, but Jansen's coming through. He's got the inside line. I don't think he's going to get this one here. Is Casper Jansen on Niels Volland on the merge of the Joker, and Jansen has done it. That's absolutely brilliant for Casper Jansen. Into the wall in the Joker last time around, and he manages to recover it. A little bit wide of the final turn, but he blasts it to the line, and he'll take the win in Q4 Heat 2. Niels Volland over the line in second place, with Andy August completing it in P3 ahead of Oliveira and Mark Moser. That race time was about 5 seconds quicker than we saw from Attila Moser a couple of moments ago, but that last lap really was what won Jansen the race, because it wasn't a tidy Joker by any stretch of the imagination. Right, results from Q4 Heat 2 then. Casper Jansen takes the win from Niels Volland. Manny August in P3 there as well, ahead of Jose Oliveira and Mark Moser. As we said, time's about 5 seconds or so quicker, so now it's Casper Jansen, Niels Volland, Mandy August at the top. Attila Moser, who won Q4 Heat 1, drops down to 4th place at the moment, still with another 4 races, though, left to run here. Well, that was the exciting one, and Casper Jansen, good start away from the lights here.
Well, it moved quickly, didn't it? And then it seemed like he didn't get the second phase of the start as good as they might have wanted it. Volland on the inside. Look, it's really loose right on the inside, but on the racing line, not too bad at all. The track's really quick this morning, actually. Mandy August, as I say, just staying right out of trouble in the first couple of corners. And the Joker predictor graphic is only based on the previous time they've crossed the start-finish line, because obviously the splits update so quickly. This is Jansen in the wall on his Joker, but Jansen did such a great opening sector of that lap. The first sector actually ends really late in the lap compared to some circuits, so it's, yeah, it's hard to take a read on it, but he was on an absolute flyer. Great job from him. He'll be ruined that he didn't get out front and having the pace.
Right, over to Q4 Heat 3 then. Tamas Kárai, second owner on pole position with Laszlo Kish alongside João Ribeiro, who of course is making his supercar debut, or RX1 debut if you want to refer to it as that. Alongside then is René Munich and Ollie O'Donovan. These drivers, of course, trying to progress their way forwards into the quarterfinals. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Let's see how they'll all get away down towards the first corner. So then, at the starter's orders, Tamas Kárai on pole position, and then alongside him Laszlo Kish, who actually had to tap into the wall yesterday in free practice. Right, ready to race board is on, red lights are on, and the drivers are about to go racing. He'll get the best launch down into turn 1. It's a good initial reaction there from Munich, bit of a squeeze on Ribeiro. Ollie O'Donovan trying to come through on the outside and goes through to get the whole shot and take the lead. Tamas Kárai into second place, side by side there. Munich's getting duffed up massively by Laszlo Kish, but actually relatively clean through the first couple of corners there, with Ollie O'Donovan leading out in front.
Great start from former British champion Ollie O'Donovan around the outside. Kárai was on the inside, just too cautious, wasn't he? Really needed to run the car deeper into the corner to stop someone going around the longer route. It's difficult to go around the outside here because the pack all gets dragged into the first corner. Joker this time around for João Ribeiro and René Munich in the background.
Yeah, Ribeiro into the Joker. O'Donovan coming under pressure, though, from Tamas Kárai. He's going to know this circuit pretty well, is Tamas Kárai. He's looking for a move here on the inside. Bit of new tarmac that's been laid down for 2026 as well. Possibly opens that line up a little bit. It's been so single track through there over the last few years, and now possibly giving a bit more grip. Kárai looking for a way through here on O'Donovan. O'Donovan parking the car, though, quite nicely through turn 2, not allowing Kárai a chance to challenge.
These two have been stalwarts of European Rallycross for more than a decade now. Remember them having some pretty fierce fights in Mete 2015, long time ago. They've continued developing their teams. Kárai with his self-built Audi into the Joker this time around. O'Donovan.
I'm not sure on that, to be honest with you, because Laszlo Kish is going to go through. Ribeiro has Jokered then, but the problem is if he comes up behind Laszlo Kish here and he's got more pace, he's going to end up in exactly the same position as he had in Q3 yesterday, where he's faster, but he can't get through.
Yeah, you're right. They're not unused to mixing it up on the Joker strategy, are they, the Kárai Motorsport squad? And sometimes you've got to try something different. Clearly, they felt they've got more pace than O'Donovan, wanted the free air. At the moment, he's not right on the rear of Kish, so probably not losing too much time, but they need Laszlo Kish to Joker this time around. Okay, fellow Hungarian might be willing to do. Oh, Munich's got a misfire behind our commentary position, but Yeah, they really need Kish to joker this time around if they're to get in pursuit of O'Donovan.
Yeah, Munich's car sounded like a biscuit
O'Donovan
tin full of teaspoons there, didn't it? Into the joker for O'Donovan on lap 3. And how's this going to emerge then? Oh, Kish hasn't gone joker. He's holding up Kárai, but Kárai has managed to get the overcut then and get through for what is effectively the race lead now.
O'Donovan leaning on the nose of the car in the joker section. Didn't get the rotation done. So easy for me to say that from up here, but didn't carry the speed for the mid part of the corner and lost out a little bit.
Yeah, O'Donovan then is going to have to try and do this one the hard way on the final lap. Where also Kish will go joker this time around, but Kárai is holding on to the race lead. He's getting held up here now, you would imagine, just on the back of Laszlo Kish, and this is going to affect his total race time, which could deny him a chance to move up the order, or at least secure his position in those quarter-finals. Coming down through into the bottom end we go. Kish will go off to the right, goes into that joker, releases Kárai, releases O'Donovan, and indeed the rest of the field. So he'll emerge probably in about 4th place, won't he? Yeah, behind. And he's made a mistake in the joker, into the barrier there for Laszlo Kish. And Tamas Kárai will come through the last turn. He'll come over the line and take the win. Ollie O'Donovan in 2nd and João Ribeiro in P3, but Kish into the barrier on the joker. That's a shame.
We saw Kish in the wall in free practice yesterday morning, pulled the rear wheel off the car, didn't he? Just in that section, but not in the joker, actually. Still beats Munich to the line. Munich with a horrendous misfire as he came past our commentary position, but it's that kind of mistake that can cost you dear in these final rounds of qualifying. Kárai, with not the time he probably would have wanted, it's not really working out for him this weekend. Tamas Kárai, O'Donovan, Ribeiro, Kish and Munich all make it to the finish.
Pretty good race time, actually, though. Slots him into 2nd at the moment after a few races in Q4 then. So Janssen just a 10th of a second or so up the road. Nils Vollen there into 3rd place. O'Donovan up into P4, so pretty handy for those drivers. Kárai didn't get the best initial launch away from the lights. Munich put a squeeze there on Ribeiro. Kish lost out, but Ollie O'Donovan just saw the seas parting in front of him, went straight round the outside and proper sent it into turn 1.
Yeah, Kárai was just so cautious, wasn't he? Had the car stop nice and straight. Munich and Kish having a few kisses into turn 2. Kárai had a look up the inside of O'Donovan, but that new tarmac has actually widened the line in the final corner and you can carry a lot more momentum. This is O'Donovan through the extra route, slotting into 3rd.
Yeah, ultimately lost out really after the joker had played out there. This is Laszlo Kish's tip into the barrier, so he's wide on the entry and then just runs out of room. Yeah,
there's me saying that O'Donovan turned in a bit cautiously. The alternative is that you turn in too late and end up in the wall on the outside. It's a real risky part of the track.
Right then, next race underway, or about to get underway for Q4 here for RX1. Davian Libinovic on pole position. Palios Blaskoves, Fabian Paye, who's been really quick so far this weekend. You can see he's currently P8 in the standings after Q3 with Eddie Benazet and Johannes Rafos alongside. Now, Rafos down in 20th place. We think he's got a bit more pace underneath him at the moment. The driver who's on the outside of that row of the grid, but he's not had a particularly brilliant day of things really yesterday. He got caught up in an accident that wasn't really his fault and ended up losing time on the qualifiers, and that's why he's down in 20th place. So let's see if he can turn his fortunes around. Right, 5 lights or 4 lights are on. Green light and go. Good stuff from Libinovic. Nice one from Paye up the middle of the front row. Rafos not away so well. Bit of a tap there with Benazet on the inside. The Skoda driver goes through. That's Palios Blaskoves. He's in 2nd place now with Paye on his outside through the turn 2. But the whole shot then of Libinovic got a nice start from pole position. Leads on the run down into turn 4 with Blaskoves, with Paye and Rafos very close for company behind.
Blaskoves didn't have the start at all, did he? But that little awareness into the first corner where you can put the car benefited him massively. Rafos a little bit cautious into 2, could really have stuck the nose up the inside, gained a position on Paye, who jokers this time around. But this morning, Tom, in warm-up, Rafos was P7 overall, and the track was the fastest we've seen it all weekend. Kristoffersson was fastest in warm-up on a 43.6. So the pace is there in the circuit, and Rafos will be hoping, as you say, to make up ground in this one.
Yeah, no doubt about it for Johannes Rafos. At the moment, though, it's Libinovic that's leading then. The driver from Poznan in Poland, 28 years old. It's going to be his last weekend in Euro RX, and he is proper sending that Audi S1 at the moment. Due to budgetary issues is why he's not going to be competing in Euro RX for the remainder of this season, we understand. But he's putting out a nice, comfortable gap over Blaskoves. He's sort of a cork in the bottle rear for the likes of Rafos and sort of to Benazet there behind. Now, Rafos has gone joker. I think that's smart smart, really, because he's got a bit more pace underneath him. He's just not got the chance to use it. I think they're going to drop behind Paillet, and they do. So probably forced into that, really, more than anything there for Rafos and Benezet, just to try and get out of the traffic.
I don't think he'd be too concerned about being behind Paillet. Of course, you always want to win every race and finish higher than everybody else, but at the same time, Paillet has great ultimate pace. We've seen that so far this weekend since they turned up with the freshly engined Megane. Plaskovas, with the best will in the world, is not a front runner in this championship. So I think from a strategical point of view, that was the right thing to do, to choose to follow the faster of the two options.
Yeah, Paillet, the quickest man last time around, 44 flat relative to some other drivers, a couple of them in the 44. See, the time to beat at the moment is a 3:05.249 for Litvinovic. He's going to have to wait until the last opportunity here. He has done. He's on the penultimate lap, so one more tour round, and he'll be going into the Joker. He's got 3.8 seconds, so it's a nice enough cushion there for Litvinovic. He'll come out in the race leading position, but hold that here on this final lap. Plaskovas is second place, though, very much under threat, with Paillet bearing down on him.
Plaskovas still to Joker as well, so the gap is actually nearly 4 seconds from Litvinovic to personally most at risk from. Lots of grip down in the hairpin now, isn't there? Did you see
good,
when we looked from that high shot last time around, the car actually sort of squared itself up rather than sliding through the hairpin. So always evolving our rallycross circuits. Litvinovic, though,
he's lost time here.
It doesn't. The car, something weird happening with the car, isn't it? It's not looking very comfy at all.
Yeah, I mean, the gap was 4 seconds nearly across the line last time around. He's going to lose out to the race lead, so something has gone wrong for Litvinovic here on this final lap, and it's allowed Paillet as well as Rafos to go through on this one, and Litvinovic is going to drop right down into third place. Out of the last corner we go. Paillet takes an unlikely win in Q4 Heat 4 from Johannes Rafos. Litvinovic limped home in third place ahead of Plaskovas and Eddie Benezet. But what happened on that last lap there for Damian Litvinovic?
I wonder if he's broken a drive shaft, because the car doesn't look like it's got a puncture, but it was crabbing weirdly, wasn't it?
He lost 2 seconds in the first sector. Oh, you know, so yeah, something went wrong there for Litvinovic, and clearly mechanical. Right, Paillet takes the win in Q4 Heat 4. Johannes Rafos over the line in P2. Time slightly slower than we saw a couple of moments ago, but let's have a look and see where it slots them in. So Paillet's in P4 then, quickest man from Q4 Heat 4 that we saw a couple of moments ago. Litvinovic will be really disappointed, because without that 2 second loss time, he'd have been right up there with Paillet inside the top 5. Let's have a look at the away from the lights. Litvinovic with the inside line, great launch from pole position. Paillet following him through there as well. They started squabbling behind. Plaskovas up into third place, and then Rafos on the inside of Eddie Benezet. There was a little bit of hip and shoulder between Plaskovas and Paillet through turn 2, as Litvinovic built out a gap of about 4 seconds or so. And then it was that final lap where we said he lost 2 seconds in sector 1 alone. Just
had a quick word of Krzysztof Skorupski, his spotter. They're not sure what's wrong, because Damien hasn't got any direct feedback from the car, but he thinks probably a broken drive shaft.
Right,
so
okay.
It was just crabbing around weirdly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't look comfortable, especially on that final lap. You saw the car just bucking and weaving, making all sorts of shapes. Right, for Litvinovic then, that's not great news in Q4. We'll wait and see what happens, though, in Heat 5. Andreas Bakkerud, TQ from day 1 here, alongside Patrick O'Donovan, Juha Rukkanen, and then with the 8-time world champion, Johan Kristoffersson for company. Anton Sepper completes your grid here for this one. Now, the KMS drivers haven't had the best of starts here this weekend by a long way. On the other side of it, the set promotion cars, the Ford Fiesta in particular of Andreas Bakkerud, which is of course a Bergen Motorsport car but supported by set promotion, has gotten away from the lights very, very well. Right, let's see what will happen then. Ready to race board is on. 4 laps of action for Q4. Green line and go. Good start from Bakkerud. Nice one from Rukkanen off the middle of the front row. Kristoffersson doesn't get away at all. Well, ducks to the inside. Looks to try and get through on O'Donovan. Can't quite make it. Side by side with Sepper he is. Bakkerud with the whole shot. Rukkanen on the outside. O'Donovan's there for turn 2 and gets into second place.
O'Donovan holds it on the inside through 2, doesn't allow...
Oh, it's wide!
Kristoffersson's wide!
Ah, just about keeps it out of the wall, but manages to send it through on the inside of Anton Sepper. So from a mistake to an attack for position, Johan Kristoffersson full send on the opening lap. That was incredible.
I was sure he was having a Liam Duran, Michael de Kirchbacher type shunt there in the wall on the outside. Was that intentional? Want to see that again and talk to Johan afterwards, because the closing speed there was absolutely massive.
Juha Rukkanen through the Joker, first time around. Kristoffersson now on the attack against Patrick O'Donovan for third place. End of the first lap, Bakkerud leads over the line. Half a second he has over POD in P2. Kristoffersson getting his act together as Sepper sideways over the jump there in P4.
What a great position that flip-flop camera's in now. We just see the cars hopping over the jump on the exit of turn 1. O'Donovan close to the wall on the right-hand side. Kristoffersson close to the rear of O'Donovan as they come down the hill. Bakkerud has set the fastest lap of the session so far.
Anyone going to go Joker this time around? I wonder whether we might see it from Seppa behind, but it doesn't look like he's gone to do it. No, he hasn't.
The top three can't because Seppa's in the window at the moment. Rukkinen's closing though, just 3.5 behind. Kristoffersson moving all over the back of O'Donovan, trying to just distract the former European champion a little bit.
Can't make it stick at the moment though, lap 3 and 4, so we're getting towards that window now then, and as you say, Seppa just so close behind, but no tail here, and Kristoffersson looking to try and force a mistake from Patrick O'Donovan, can't find it through into turn 2, on the run down, into turn 3, and then into turn 4. That's where we saw the mistake from Kristoffersson last time around.
That's such a great corner, through 3 into 4, the car's all loaded up one way, you have to flick it back the other way. Kristoffersson is filling the mirrors of O'Donovan's Peugeot 2. I think O'Donovan will joker this around, he does indeed go into the extra route.
That's a nice bit of clear air then for Johan Kristoffersson. Into the joker also for Anton Seppa. Now where's POD going to emerge? It's going to be behind Juha Rukkinen. That early joker's paid off quite nicely. There's contact and POD goes into the wall.
Hard into the wall, Patrick O'Donovan. He went to the inside of Rukkinen on the exit. Rukkinen had moved across and it would be risky to go around the outside. Carried the speed on the inside. There just wasn't the gap. Kristoffersson though lost a bit of ground there to Bakkerud going up the hill as well.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds as the gap across the line, but Kristoffersson, the man on a charge, fastest last time around, only by about 0.03 of a second over Andreas Bakkerud, who looks like he's got this one quite comfortable here. He's on the final lap. Both these drivers are going to go into the joker, and they do. So barring a mistake from Bakkerud, surely he's going to hold on for the victory in Q4 Heat 5. Down into the hairpin we go. Kristoffersson looking to try and invent something on the inside. The calm eyes of determination as he goes through and gets P2 ahead of Juha Rukkinen, past the stricken car of Patrick O'Donovan, into the final corner and out of it now. Andreas Bakkerud will take the win and the quickest time so far in Q4 Heat 5. Johan Kristoffersson over the line in P2. Juha Rukkinen in the set promotion I-20 in third place ahead of Anton Seppa. Patrick O'Donovan not making the checkered flag after that contact with Rukkinen following the joker.
Fastest time of the weekend for Andreas Bakkerud when he needed it most to stay ahead of Johan Kristoffersson. Surely that's going to give Andreas Bakkerud the top qualifier position. The front right corner and the rear right corner of Patrick O'Donovan's car are hanging off.
Big hit into the wall for Patrick O'Donovan. A lot of repair work for the Team RX Racing outfit to do ahead of the quarter-finals then, if indeed he's going to make it. So Andreas Bakkerud takes the win from Johan Kristoffersson. Then Juha Rukkinen and Anton Seppa. O'Donovan did not manage to make the checkered flag, so he'll be getting the minimum points that is possible for that one after it's all said and done in Q4. But Bakkerud, quickest man of the day then so far in Q4, catapults him to the top of the pile from Johan Kristoffersson by 0.4 of a second. Rukkinen up there into third place, moving Hansen down into fourth position, just ahead of Tamas Kárai. That's a great start from Bakkerud. He got away so well. Then Rukkinen also. Kristoffersson just didn't get the launch, looked his way through on the inside of O'Donovan, but the door just shut very firmly. On board we are now.
I want to see the move Kristoffersson did on Seppa at the top of the hill. This is Kristoffersson looking up the inside of O'Donovan. As you say, O'Donovan is going to run deep here in 2 and force Rukkinen out into the loose gravel. We're still on board with Kristoffersson there. He was already inside Seppa, wasn't he? So maybe he just ran deep. Maybe he closed on the back of Rukkinen, actually. And
oh, he's so what you can see he was offline into there.
So much lock on. You saw the wheels absolutely locked over where he's desperately trying to keep it out of the wall.
Super impressive stuff. This is the merge of the joker then. So this is O'Donovan. He's got great speed. Rukkinen's there. And he runs into the wall, first of all, on his own.
I think he might have broken 3 corners on the... I think he's broken both rear corners and the front right. We'll have to see it again.
That's a tough one, that, for Patrick O'Donovan. A bit uphill it's going to be to swallow. Andreas Bakkerud then takes the win from Johan Kristoffersson here in Hungary. I mean, that was an exciting race. And that, if there's ever a time that Andreas Bakkerud needed to throw down a gauntlet, Q4, fastest time of the weekend.
Doesn't guarantee him top qualifier, though, because Tuppinen was only 6 qualifying points behind. If he can win the next race and those behind him go quicker, that will push Bakkerud off the top spot, and then the points differences within qualifying will mean that Tuppinen could still be TQ here.
Yeah, let's have a look at Johan Kristoffersson then on that opening lap. Just look at that, super wide and offline through that kink of turn 3 into the left-hander of turn 4. I mean, he managed to keep it out the wall, which is the most impressive thing, and actually...
It doesn't get any less impressive every time we see that, does it? He's got so much lock on there to try and keep it out of the wall. He's just gone too wide, hasn't he? And it's so loose, we can see behind us, it's so loose on the outside. it's just gone deep.
Yeah, super impressive from Kristoffersson, and also recovered really well to finish P2 at the end of that one. Let's have a look at Patrick O'Donovan then. So we're going through the Joker then here, and he's just got a really good launch, really good drive. The gap's kind of half there on the inside, but you can see he's got it all hooked up, flicks it over to the left and just clips the wall of his own accord, then goes into the back of Rukkinen. So, as you said out, possibly 3 corners he's done there.
Maybe the left rear will be okay, actually, because it kind of glanced off the wall. Let's look at it from the front. So O'Donovan's carried good speed. He's chosen not to try and go outside Rukkinen because Rukkinen's coming over. Avoided the wall for the most part on the inside, but still hit it with quite a clout.
Problem is, obviously, he's picked his line, hasn't he, coming out of the Joker, hooked it all up, and then he's on the gas. And it's so hard to get out of that once you're in it.
And you're going to it's high speed there as you carried the pace. He's got out of the car, he's all right as Patrick, which is the most important thing. But that was a big impact, and as you say, Team RX Racing with a lot of work to do.
Yeah, big shame for Patrick O'Donovan. Hopefully, he'll still guarantee him a spot in the quarterfinals. I think he should be all right. Where was he at the end of yesterday? Yeah, he was 5th place, so he should be fine. Yeah, but he's obviously going to take maximum points, but it's going to cost him a bit.
But we don't have long either. Quarterfinals are on the back of the next categories. So
point.
It's this is probably the worst time in the weekend for that to happen.
Right, let's have a look and just remind you where it stands at this point with 1 race left to go in Q4 for RX1. Bakkerud is your TQ as it stands for now, ahead of Kristoffersson. Then it's Rukkinen in 3rd place ahead of Kasper Janssen. Kárai P5 so far ahead of Niels Vollen, Fabian Paye. Johannes Raffos up there in P8. He's had a torrid time of things so far. 20th overall he was going into Q4 this morning. O'Donovan, Oliver that is, in P9 ahead of João Ribeiro, Portuguese driver on the fringes of the top 10. A reminder, of course, 30 drivers in RX1 here this weekend, but only the top 24 will go forwards and into the quarterfinals, which will be along the way, and then the top 3 from each of those quarters goes through and into the semis, which decides those 2 grids. And of course, then the top 3 from each of the semis goes through and into the finals. Right, Q4 Heat 6 now ready to get underway after some repairs to get O'Donovan's car all out of the way. So it's Joni Turpainen who is on pole position, or Turpainen as we understand is correctly pronounced, with Ulrich Linnemann and Martin Enlund, otherwise known as Sendland, P15 currently in the standings. OC Baby on the fringes of the top 10 going into Q4 with Andor Trepak, the Hungarian driver who has had a mixed weekend so far, I think it's fair to say.
Trepak, Turpainen and Baby are the 3 drivers in this that could realistically push Bakkerud off the top spot. Trepak looking anxious, isn't he, as we're about to get going?
Yeah, Turpainen on pole position, alongside him on that front row, Linnemann, and then Martin Enlund in the middle in the yellow Ford Fiesta. Green light and go. Nice start from Turpainen. Nice one from Enlund as well. They're going to squeeze Linnemann out here. Baby gets away okay, but gets a bit of a tap, and on the front he slots into 4th place. So Turpainen is the lead. On the inside there is Baby looking on his way through against Enlund. He's got it. He's up into 3rd.
Again, another not great start for the KMS squad. Baby forcing his way through on the inside on Martin Enlund into turn 2 on the back of Linnemann in a much older Volkswagen Polo to the one that Baby is on board. But Joni Turpainen, after that great run in the wet yesterday, he's really looking good here. But he told me last night he's struggling for tyres. He got pushed so hard in the latter stages of the event in Riga that he really used his tyres up there. You get 8 tyres at the first event you do in the year. For every event thereafter, you get 4 new tyres and you have to carry 4 over. And Turpainen's 4 he's carried over are not in good shape, so he really needed to rain this afternoon to maintain front running pace.
Yeah, he's in the lead of the race at the moment, so let's see how it works out for Joni Turpainen. Then Baby and Trepak went Joker at the end of the first lap. Linnemann trying to keep Turpainen honest, but he's not quite got the pace to run with him. He was super quick in the wet yesterday, was Ulrich Linnemann, but at the moment in these dry conditions, I think he's just going to fall out of the sort of wheel tracks there of Joni Turpainen. Enlund there behind in P3 as well. And look at Baby, look at the ground he's already made up now with that clear air in the KMS Polo.
Yeah, he's on to win this one, really, isn't he? If he can keep closing the gap. But Enlund could be the cork of the bottle and hold Baby back unless Enlund jokers next time around. It's so clean there up the hill into the final corner. Enlund, super experienced at this game, is not going to open the door for OC Baby.
Joker average time, we reckon it to be about 3 seconds or so for these drivers. So what's the gap back to Enlund? It's enough, isn't it, as it stands for now? But the question is, will it be Enlund or will it be Baby? Enlund, of course, has still got a Joker at the moment. He's just hemorrhaging time, stuck behind Martin Enlund at the moment. He's clearly got more pace underneath him.
This is still Baby's race, in my opinion, as long as he can do something about Enlund. He's going to desperately hope that Enlund can Joker this time around. Will Baby spot Olia Johan Rustad being in the
Endless wide. Sorry, Hal Endless was so deep in the Joker, I thought he was going to gather that up, but he just about does. Lindemann also going into the Joker. Where's he going to emerge? It's tied with himself and Trepak on the inside as Lindemann contact. He's got the inside line. He's got the place as Juri Lindemann. He gets it over Trepak. Trepak spins it round though and loses out and drops right down. Did he have a left rear puncher there or something, mate? I thought I saw the tyre maybe hanging off the rim. Possibly not. But
Trepak's weekend goes from bad to worse. Was really struggling in the traffic yesterday. Wasn't getting the starts. Was really frustrated when we spoke to him. Now getting hobbled in the final part of qualifying. Baby though, 2.8 behind Topainen.
Baby on an absolute flyer then here. He's going to take over the lead of this race as Topainen goes into the Joker on this final lap. There is Baby on the inside line in the KMS Polo. He's going to hold on to the race lead. Topainen, I think, is going to get second place over Lindemann. He does quite comfortably there. So Topainen close onto the back of OC Baby. But Baby then does make it after another challenging start in the KMS Polo. It's a win in Q4 Heat 6 for the Norwegian. Topainen over the line in P2. Lindemann in third place ahead of Enlund. And then Andor Trepak with another challenging race as we now ride on board with the young Hungarian driver. As you said, it just goes from bad to worse, and he's cruising round here on this final lap. That's such a shame. I wondered if he had a left rear puncher, as I said in commentary, because he spun round there. I just wondered if I saw the tyre hanging off the rim. Let's have another look at it this time around. Now, I think it's okay.
He just didn't have the pace we would have expected either before that, did he?
Yeah, it's a shame there for Andor Trepak. You can see visibly body language in the car. He's frustrated, isn't he? You know, pulling the gear lever and just trying to get that anger out, really, more than anything. Race time in that one, slightly slower, actually, than we saw for the last couple. 3:02.846 for OC Baby, who takes the win. Joni Topainen in second place, ahead of Lindemann in third. Enlund P4, and then Trepak way down the order in P5. So that's going to cost the Hungarian driver very dear indeed. But Bakkerud does retain the TQ spot then ahead of the quarter-finals. OC Baby up into third ahead of Rukkinen, and Kristoffersson there splitting those two drivers. Well, let's have a look at a replay again. It was a nice clean start for Topainen, good for Enlund as well. They squeezed out Lindemann. Baby got a bit of a tap on the front there as it all sort of concertinaed up. Switched that to the inside line beautifully as well. And Trepak just didn't get away from the lights at all, did he?
Yeah, tough weekend, as we said, and it would get worse in this race. This was an aggressive move from Baby. I think perhaps they probably joked a bit early into the traffic, as it turned out. Enlund was having that big moment into the Joker that you spotted, Tom, and Lindemann runs a little bit deep in the Joker merge, then gets side by side with Trepak, tries to bail out of it in fairness, has a bit of contact, gets back up the inside. Trepak on the loose stuff, still trying to hang on to it, and it just over-rotated on him. We see it from the front. Lindemann did his best to get out of the way there. They're still side by side, tricky. Wonder if anything will come of that, but Trepak with his foot in the throttle. I don't know if there is a puncture on that left rear. It doesn't look like it from here, does it?
I think it's fine, yeah. I saw him sideways into that hairpin there, and I just wondered whether there might be something upsetting the balance of the car. Right, let's get confirmation then of the Q4 standings. So Bakkerud is your TQ then after all is said and done ahead of the quarterfinals. Kristoffersson, though, in P2 ahead of Joni Topainen in third position. Rukkinen, his fellow Finn, in P4 ahead of Lindemann. Great job from the 37-year-old Danish driver. OC Baby, after his win in Q3, is up into P6. Fabian Paye, P7. And then Damian Litvinovic is in 8th place. Good recovery there for Litvinovic after all was said and done. He had a challenging Q4 a couple of minutes ago, and he'll be happy just to have secured his place in the quarterfinals. Kárai, Patrick O'Donovan drops down to 10th place. If you remember, he was on the fringes of the top 5 before Q3, so that DNF really costing him. João Ribeiro, then Andor Trepak, Kasper Jansen, etc. Eddie Benezet will be the last of the drivers who will go through to the quarterfinals. Up here will lose Moser, Oliveira, Bruno Becker, Norbert Becker, Jan Beckert, and of course Alev Vucic also not making the cut. He had an engine problem yesterday after Q1, and we will see how he gets on for the remainder of the season. But yeah, that was a really, really exciting Q4 there, Hal, and it's the normal story, isn't it? Bakkerud and Kristoffersson at the top.
But it's not the normal story in that Kristoffersson usually finds a way through and manages to get back to the front so far this weekend, aside from in that great race in Q2 yesterday afternoon. That hasn't really happened, so we're in for some great racing this afternoon, aren't we, as the knockout stages commence.
Penny for the thoughts of Andor Trepak. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out he's not going to be best pleased after how things worked out in Q4 for him. Duff start away from the lights, and then that contact with Lindemann. you can see on the rear left corner of the car there's been a bit of a tap there as well. Let's have another look at this emerge of the Joker. It's the rear right where he had the contact with Linnemann. So Linnemann on the re-emerge of the Joker carrying such speed. Trepak, though, just a bit sideways and a bit wide.
Linnemann really turned out of that, and I think in the steward's room that will do him a lot of favours, because he tried to avoid the contact. They're then side by side. OK, maybe he should have checked up a little bit. Ultimately, he's got the inside for that corner, so it's how far they consider the Joker merge still to continue into the next part of the track. You say penny for the thoughts of Andor Trepak. I'm pretty sure none of those will be broadcastable, will they? Because he's had a bit of a shocker at home after such promise from both Riga and this event last year.
Yeah, it's a disappointment there for Andor Trepak. You can see him on board, and then just coming through. This is his view of what happened. Keep an eye out, stage right, because Linnemann is going to appear. There's the first bit of contact. There goes Linnemann, and then he's just got it over-rotated coming into that final corner. Just can't catch it. Little bit of a tap there from Enland as he goes through in his Fiesta there as well, and ultimately after that point it's all done and dusted, isn't it, really? Just limped it home to the checkered flag. Another driver and another team that have got a fair old repair job. Patrick O'Donovan, he had a big smash into the wall in Q4 a couple of minutes ago.
Engine's still running, as you can hear on the Oracle engine Peugeot. The Team RX Racing guys very keen to get that car off the forklift and into they're not actually going into the awning. This is a familiar sign. You go next to the awning, so you don't have to bother about wrestling the car into the tent. I could watch a repair process like this all afternoon, actually, but yeah, there's a lot of work to do for these mechanics.
Yeah, it's a big shame there for O'Donovan. He's had a decent pace, as we said, was running inside the, where was he just prior to Q4? He was 5th in the standings, and he's dropped down just onto the fringe of the top 10. Let's have another look at it then. So just gets such a good run off the Joker. Rukkonen's there. They do a bit of a crossover, over and under. O'Donovan, he's already committed at that point. He's got the car lit up, and he just misjudges it slightly, clips the barrier on the left-hand side, then goes into the back of Rukkonen for good measure. And after that, it's straight to the scene of the accident. Good thing is, he's out of the car, he's okay, but I mean, it's not the first contact he's had with the wall so far this weekend for the youngster, the 2024 European Rallycross champion, no less. And, well...
Is he holding his arm a bit, Patrick, as well? That would have been a fairly violent impact in the car. It stopped heavily, didn't it? In the nose, and then rotated around
bit
to
of kickback on the wheel sort of thing.
The rear, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, a shame there for Patrick O'Donovan. Hopefully they can get that car fixed and in time for the quarterfinals, because, as you said, it's not that far away. What are we now? 11:15, so 45 minutes or so, and we should be getting quarterfinals action beginning. So it's a fair old bit of work to do for the RX Racing team, but they're pretty experienced in the world of Rallycross. That's an understatement, actually, to be honest with you. So let's see whether they can get that car righted and back out for the quarterfinals. But these are the drivers who will be partaking in it. Andreas Bakkerud is your TQ, managed to retain that spot after a brilliant race in his Q4 appearance. Kristoffersson into 2nd position. Then you've got Jolita Painen in 3rd place ahead of Rukkonen, Linnemann. Then it's OC Baby after his win a couple of moments ago ahead of Pályai. Litvinovic, after a challenging Q4, drops down into 8th in the standings, but he's ahead of Tamás Kárai, and then Patrick O'Donovan now on the fringes of the top 10. Well, repair work underway for that Peugeot 208. Just trying to figure that one out. RX3 Q4 will be along the way. A couple of moments' time, we'll be bringing that to you. Julian Mounier is currently your TQ overnight from Saturday. Levente Kakor in 2nd place ahead of Ritish Gerklis. Then it's Rosrud, Sam Kovacs, Václav Tuma, Dylan DeFast, Thiago Ferreira and Dominic Senegacnik. Just a reminder, of course, in RX3, no quarterfinals, straight into the semis for these drivers. 15 in total, so 12 of them will be moving forwards from the total qualifying standings into those semis. RX4 as well. Philip Melanie, Vega Brands, Andrea Benazet, Haushan Deng, Thomas Conte and Albert Koch in there. And then, of course, we'll be bringing you our coverage of RX5 for the first time as well. Let's have a look at what happened in race 5 a couple of minutes ago in RX1. We saw this with Bakkerud and Johan Kristoffersson in particular. So Bakkerud's on pole position. Kristoffersson just, again, makes a complete meal of the start, ducks to the inside, tries to get through an O'Donovan. Rukkonen then on the outside as O'Donovan's there in the middle. And then this is where it all kicked off for Kristoffersson. It's not going to get any less spectacular watching it. He was so wide going into the left-handed kick, the right-handed kick of turn 3 into the left-hander of turn 4. Managed to gather it up all okay, but well, he never really looks phased by the wheel of a car as Johan Kristoffersson, but I imagine that would have got the heart rate going a bit. You see they're sitting in third place at this point, then behind O'Donovan and your leader of Andreas Bakkerud. It was an early joker for Räikkönen, which actually ended up paying dividends for him. He was able to run in clear air in the majority of that race and then get the overcut once it all worked out. Emerged ahead of O'Donovan following his joker. Bakkerud, meanwhile, was driving super well at the sharp end of this one to take the quickest time that we've seen so far this weekend in RX1. Kristoffersson, meanwhile, we saw him making progress in the early stages following that opening lap drama, but he then got stuck behind O'Donovan at this point, and they were nose to tail in first, second and third place as Seppa just dropped off the back of them. Nobody going joker at this particular point, but it was a case of then the joker really unravelling for O'Donovan in second place. Ultimately, with the pressure he was having with Kristoffersson, once it all worked out for POD, he then emerged behind Johan Räikkönen after that early joker for the Finn. And that really put pay to his race.
Kristoffersson, the master of the mental mind games in the paddock, and also the master of the moving the car around in the mirrors of the car in front, just to unsettle you a little bit. Look at him, just sitting a little bit off the line. O'Donovan will be aware that he's there. The most professional drivers will not look, and O'Donovan's right up there with those now. O'Donovan's sideways there, coming down the hill.
This is that where he jokered, so he peels off, and that's when the race starts to unravel, really, for the 24 champion. So goes into the joker, maybe slightly sideways and wide on the way in. Linnemann's there then on the inside, and then we saw that contact on the rejoin. Here it is. So Räikkönen, gap's kind of half there on the inside. O'Donovan's already committed to the line, taps the wall on the inside, taps into the back of Räikkönen, and then has an even bigger impact into the barrier, which ultimately caused him to retire from the race. Out front, though, Bakkerud and Kristoffersson carried on the same strategy. I think Kristoffersson knew he was beat in this race, really. Knew he wasn't going to be able to attack against Bakkerud, so just kept it calm, kept
damage
it controlled.
limitation, though, isn't it? It's just about getting the maximum you can out of that situation.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he did. As you say, good time in that race, wasn't held up too much, especially in this final lap. They both went into the joker, and ultimately it was the quickest time of the weekend.
Love the flames from Kristoffersson's car. It's they're just brilliant. We need more of that. It should be compulsory.
It should be. I'm loving the return of internal combustion engine at this level as well. There's Räikkönen. Good third place for him. Just, again, that early joker, able to run his own race, ultimately profited from misfortune of others as well. Came through to finish P3 and catapulted himself up the standings as well. He's fourth place at the end of the Q4 standings. Let's go over to RX3, then get Q4 underway here in the sunshine in Nyirád. So Jeremy Lombay on pole position with Aldris Kragas alongside Andre Souza, Sam Kovacs and Joseph Strebinger for company. And let's see how this one is going to work out then. RX3 with the fans in the grandstands. They'd like to be joined by your TQ man of Andreas Bakkerud. Andreas, mate, another stellar race from you. Right.
Johan is coming quick though.
It is. Right, let's get this one underway then here for RX3 Q4 Race 1. Lombay on pole position with Kragas and Souza alongside. Green light and go. Souza gets a good initial launch away. Not so good for Lombay. Kragas alongside Souza. Strebinger trying to put the squeeze there on Sam Kovacs into turn 1. Kragas lost into second place, tries to challenge for the lead against Souza into turn 2. He's got the inside line, he's got the place. Souza's going to lose out here then as goes through for Jeremy Lombay. And also Sam Kovacs in the mix there as well. Up into third.
The starts in RX3 is so tight. I mean, Kovacs was a bit late on the Kovacs was a bit slow on the reaction. Everyone else was so similar.
Yeah, so Kragas gets away well. Into the joker goes Sam Kovacs then, and also Souza's going to follow him through into there. So they're going to try and run in a bit of clear air in this opening stage of the race. Down into the joker we go, and now it's Souza who's got the pressure from Lombay and Strebinger from behind. Through the final corner we go, end of lap 1 then. Kragas it is that leads, trying to build out an advantage. I guess the ploy here, if you're in the lead, Andreas, is going to be try and wait for the latest possible opportunity to go for the joker.
Yeah, you know, in the qualifying heats we drive on lap times and overall time, so clear air is the key. Drive your own race, try not to get into too many battles. try to keep all 4 wheels pointing in the right direction when you finish a race. That's not very easy always.
No.
But yeah, that's the idea.
Quickest time we've seen so far this weekend, by the way, in RX3 is a 3:13.109. Of course, Q3 yesterday, rather, beg your pardon, was wet, so times went for a bit of a tumble, but it was the same pretty much for both drivers. On the rear motor, the Joker there for Lombé just slots in behind Sam Kovacs, who's up into 3rd position. Lombé trying to keep the pressure then on the back of Kovacs out of the final turn. Can't quite make anything stick. Penultimate lap wheel now on. Kragas, quickest man out on the racetrack, 46.8 for him last time around. Now here is the average Joker time in RX3, 3.7 seconds. So Kragas and Strebinger, I mean, Strebinger's just going to try and hope that Kragas goes Joker this time around. I don't think he is, though, to be honest with you. I think he's just going to wait for the last lap here, really, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to just drive his own rhythm. He has great speed. Well,
he does go Joker. Yeah. All right, well, don't ask me for the lottery numbers for next Thursday either, for that matter. That might prove to be quite beneficial here for Strebinger, who we know still owes the Joker, but for Sam Kovacs, he's stuck behind the Austrian driver. On the re-emerge then, Kragas does manage to hold on to the race lead. It's worked out actually quite well there.
The Austrian driver was actually very gentle there, as he should be. I mean, he hadn't had the Joker yet, so he knew that Kragas was coming with more speed. So yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Really, really good stuff there. So Strebinger is now the cork in the bottle here for Sam Kovacs, who clearly has got a bit more pace underneath him than the Austrian in 2nd position. But the problem is now, of course, you're on the last lap. There's not really any opportunities to try and fight your way through. And Strebinger is going to peel off to the right. Indeed, he does it into turn 4 because he runs it a bit wide. I
was just about to say, now you see the tire starts getting it. We have driven a lot of laps on these tires. We are very limited on amount of tires. You see, especially now in the last lap, of qualifying 4, they are struggling, same as me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It seems to be a bit of a talk of the weekend then here. Where's Strebinger going to emerge? He's side by side here with André Souza. He's got the inside line, he's got the place. That would have been a bit more comfortable had he not run wide a couple of corners before. But the upshot is the end of Q4 concludes with Andreas Kragas taking the win from Sam Kovacs, then Jeremy Lombé in 3rd position, and then over the line in 4th place was Strebinger with André Souza. Well, a good race there. Kragas sets the pace initially, 3:16.810. Not the fastest time we've seen so far this weekend. Kovacs over the line in 2nd and Lombé into 3rd place. Hopefully we'll see the pace increasing for Q4 Heat 2 in a couple of moments. Let's go down to Hal, though, and catch up in the paddock.
Right, down at Team RX Racing, and these boys have a massive job to do ahead of the quarterfinals. This is almost the worst time in the weekend for this to happen because the turnaround between Q4 and the quarters is pretty short. Look at the damage on the rear of the car, and I'm actually going to try and grab a word with Patrick here. Patrick, if you've got a second, mate, what happened there from your point of view?
I had an unreal Joker. According to Chronomoto, it was the best Joker at the session. It felt really, really good. And then coming down, usually when you come out of the Joker, on the right-hand side there's a lot of gravel, and I was expecting a bit of wash, so I put in the input. But of course, Juha was there. I saw the gap on the left of him, and there was a gap, but by the time I got there, it was my own mistake. I'd misjudged. I gripped up more than I anticipated on the tarmac, and it just pulled me in. And I tried to turn out on the onboard on the wall, but it was a small touch on the wall. It sent me in at that point. I was a passenger, so my own mistake, a misjudgment from myself. And yeah, I mean, it's just really frustrating because the pace was there. You know, I didn't feel like I felt like I was being held up a little bit by Andreas for the first 2 laps, and like we had strong enough pace to be there, and it was just. Yeah, really, really frustrating.
Thanks, Patrick. We'll just let you get on. We'll just quickly have a look in the background. So the rear upright's been broken off the car. Patrick was actually holding the canister off the Riga damper. Ross Rucroft there, replacing the rear upright. The front upright needs changing. You can see they've got the new damper on the front there. Bottom arm's bent as well. So huge amount of work to do and a race against time for this team.
Thanks, Hal. Thanks to Patrick O'Donovan. Obvious disappointment there for POD. He's dropped down to the fringes of the top 10 after Q4 in the ultimate standings. I mean, Andreas, that was... have you seen the crash yet?
Yeah,
actually?
Yeah, I actually saw it in replay after I got back into my tent, and it didn't look good. It's like... small margins. When you hit the loose stuff there, it's so slippy. A little touch and a little impact, you lose all control. So it's a bummer it happens now in Q4 because there's no time for quarterfinals.
Yeah, such a shame there for O'Donovan. Hopefully they can get that car repaired, but as you said, a mighty task. Right, Nico Gellin's on pole position then with Thiago Ferreira. Dominic Senegacnik alongside, then it's Dylan Dufas and Libor Tejez on the outside. Now, we should expect the pace to be a little bit quicker here in this second race, but that's easy in in practice, it's an entirely different kettle of fish. Nico Gellins hasn't had the best start so far this weekend. Biķernieki, meanwhile, in the middle of the front row, has been away from the lights pretty well.
And I'm just going to sneak out because I'm racing in 20 minutes.
Carry on, Andreas. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us, Andreas Bakkerud. Righto then, let's get this one underway. Q4, Heat 2 for RX3 is go. Gellins on the inside, not a bad launch, puts the squeeze, contact there with Biķernieki and Ferreira. Gellins almost facing the wrong way, goes one way, goes the other, goes into the barrier, so Nico Gellins manages to recover it beautifully, actually, after all is said and done. But the upshot is it's now going to be Biķernieki into second place, and after that contact there, he's got Dylan Dufas very close behind indeed, but Libor Teges from the outside of the front row has snuck through into the lead as they come down the hill into turn 4. So Teges is that lead, Biķernieki into second, Dufas into third place, and Thiago Ferreira into P4. Into the Joker then goes Dufas on this opening lap. He's going to run a bit of clear air and know, of course, that Gellins is going to probably challenge for position. He might be there on the inside as Nico Gellins, so let's see whether that works out for Dufas. He's going to have to get out of it, gets back into it, gets a bit sideways on the loose, and Gellins does get ahead there. So for Dufas, I think that might be quite costly for him, because he's now going to be stuck behind Gellins and sort of be that cork in the bottle, isn't he, here, really? That early Joker, it can work out if you get out in clear air, but for Dylan Dufas here, he's now stuck behind him and look, he's pushing him through turn 2, and Gellins there, he's now had a sequence relative to speaking. Look at this from Thiago Ferreira, bang on the inside, he goes through, and Dominic Biķernieki, that is an absolute worldie of ascent down into turn 4, makes it stick. Phenomenal from Thiago Ferreira. They're going crazy next to the commentary position after that overtake, and Biķernieki uses the impetus to go into the Joker. That's going to release Gellins. It's also going to release Dylan Dufas here, who is still, again, losing a bit of time relative to Gellins. Where does Dufas emerge still? He's there behind. Biķernieki also behind Dylan Dufas, so he's up into 4th place then so far as Dufas, but again, Gellins still yet to Joker. So, lap 3 out of 4 we are on. Tejes is that leads. Fastest man last time around with a 47.1. That's just shows you how much you can benefit by running in clear air. Thiago Ferreira up into second place with some 3.1 seconds off the back at the moment. Down into 4 we go. There's Gellins, there's Dufas. And I just wonder whether Dufas is gonna lose out here. I think third place might be the best that the VW Polo driver is going to be able to hope for then, Hin. And let's see what the 29-year-old can do. Into the Joker goes to Jez. There is Thiago Ferreira. He's going to take over at the front. Gellins is going to slot him behind, but still owes that Joker. Just to remind you, has to get out of it once more, then does Tejes on that re-emerge of the Joker. But Ferreira is going to Joker next time around here on this final lap then. So we begin it now for Q4 Heat 2 of RX3. And Gellins, of course, is out of sequence relative to these drivers, and likewise Thiago Ferreira as well. So this is now Tejes's race to lose. He's sort of the sandwich in this trio of drivers who is yet to Joker. Gellins trying to again put the pressure onto Tejes. Dufas has dropped off the coattails of Gellins and the prevailing field in front of him there as well. So you're going to get 2 of these 3 drivers that are going to peel off to the right and go into the Joker. There goes Ferreira, and Gellins hasn't jokered, actually, on this final lap, so he's forgotten to Joker. So, well, that means that he's going to get a penalty following this one here for Nico Gellins. So involved in the action is he that he's forgotten to Joker here in this race. He'll come through the final corner and take second on the road as Tejes will take the win. Dylan Dufas will be over the line in 3rd on the road when all is said and done, just ahead of Thiago Ferreira, who lost out to the 29-year-old in the VW Polo at the end of that one. But Nico Gellins, according to our timing screens, failed to Joker in that race. And, well, he finishes P2 on the road, but I imagine the stewards are going to be having a look at that one, if that is indeed the case. Certainly didn't see him go into the Joker. Just trying to remember, actually, there was so much going on at the start of that race. It's very easy to forget where it all worked out. But, well, Nico Gellins, let's be honest, I mean, he had contact at the first part of that race and was facing the wrong way and managed to recover it round. Right, we'll get the upshot of that in a couple of moments' time and work it all out in RX3. Let's go down and catch up, though, with Hal, who's with the man who's second in the standings into the quarterfinals, Johan Kristoffersson.
Johan, I know you've got a lot to do ahead of the quarterfinals. Team are very busy, but just talk to us for a moment. That moment into turn 4 in that final race, it looked pretty wild from the outside. How was it from the driving seat?
Yeah, I mean, first lap I thought maybe I should try and be a little bit opportunistic or whatever you say in English, but try to, because sometimes it stacks up a little bit into turn 4, so I thought maybe I can go around the outside of Rytkönen through 3 and into 4 to get inside, but yeah, as soon as I got offline, it was absolutely no grip. So I thought actually I'm gonna end up in the wall, but I managed to keep it out of the wall, and now I can tick off that box, and I don't have to think about that anymore.
Looking ahead to the quarterfinals, I'm not totally sure because I've been running around like a lunatic, but I think you and OC are probably going to be in the same quarter on the front row. Your starts are good now, but they're probably not as the best in the field. What do you expect from the front of the quarters?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's me and the 3 set cars, so for the launches for quarterfinal looks maybe to be a little bit easier. So I think it's me and OC in front row in the second quarterfinal. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, lap time wise on track, it looks to be good. So and I think also we have seen a little bit small struggles with some of our competitors. So we just try and keep the car reliable and just do our best.
Thank you, and good luck.
Good to hear from Johan Kristoffersson there. Second place after all is said and done following qualifying here in RX1. We're now in RX3. We've got the third and final heat ready to get underway. Let's run you through the grid and how it lines up then. Levente Kikor with Richard Kirklis alongside your TQ man, Julian Mounier, Václav Tuma and Marcus Rosrud for company. Delighted to be joined by Tommy Howland in the commentary box. Tommy is the spotter in RX4. Who's the driver you're spotting for? Albert Koch,
Albert Koch, yes.
Yeah, good to have you here, mate. And we're looking forward to this one here in RX3 in particular. Let's see how it is going to work out then. So Kikor on the right-hand side of your picture. He has had a win, of course, in Heat 3 yesterday in Q3. So let's see how it works out for him. Alongside is Kirklis, Mounier in the middle, he's your current TQ man. 4 red lights are on, green light and go. Who gets the best launch? Kirklis gets away quite well, not so good for Kikor. Mounier side by side, look at Rosrud on the outside in the purple and white Skoda as they go through into turn 1. It's Kirklis with the whole shot, Rosrud's going to get hung out to dry. Mounier's there on the inside as they come through into turn 2, and I wonder whether Rosrud's going to lose out. He is, yeah, to Mounier there, and coming through as well like a freight train is Václav Tuma. He's trying to make some ground here. It's a little bit hairy as they come down into turn 4, but Rosrud, after what looked like a really promising start and trying to challenge for the lead, actually ends up P4 with Kirklis out in front here.
Yeah, really clean start. It's been so tight in here in Nyirád. The first 2 turns, they made it greatly side by side in 2 rows, so it was really clean and nice start.
Rosrud into the Joker then on the opening lap time to beat, as you can see, a 3:16.1. That's been set by Libor Tejes a couple of modes ago. He had a really clean race actually in Q4 Heat 3. Out of the last turn we go though. Kirklis quickest across the line, as you'd imagine. Then Mounier keeping the pressure on him. You can see he's really pushing the limits over the crest of the hill through turn 1 here. Problem is, he can't really joker now at this point, Tommy, because he's not got the gap behind with Tuma.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's better for him to follow for 1 more lap at least and see if he can gain the gap behind to end up in the clear air after the choker.
Well, you know a thing or two about winning some rallycross titles, mate. So tell me, what does it take when you're in positions like this? You know, you're the driver that's chasing down, as we see Tuma going into the Joker.
I think it requires to be calm, not to start pushing too much, because he knows that he has the pace. Just follow 1 more lap, then he has to take the Joker. He can get to the clear air and then have the actual push lap, and then maybe take the overlap on the next lap.
Tuma out in front of Rosrud after the Joker is said and done. So the top 3 still yet to go. Kirklis quickest last time around, 46.6 for him. Mounier though hot on his heels and snapping away. What's the gap between themselves and Kikor? It's a couple of seconds. It's still not enough, is it, at the moment, to come out in front of Kikor and just get that clear air. If you end up then with that sort of cork in the bottle effect in front, then you just to be hemorrhaging time, and ultimately a possible challenge for the win will just slip through your fingers. Yeah,
but also Kirklis is now stepping up the pace. He had the fastest lap on the previous one and taking small gap to Mounier, so let's see, this will be interesting.
Yeah, Mounier into the Joker, Kikor still owes it, just a reminder. So Tuma there behind has jokered, likewise Rosrud as well. It's okay then for Mounier at the moment. He's got a few car lengths to Kikor in front. Both of those drivers in the race lead now are going to have to Joker this time around. So if Mounier can get a good couple of sector times in on this last lap, it could prove to be the difference between finishing second and winning this race.
Exactly, and it's also interesting where the Joker merges. Basically, from either side you can take the position. It's not an advantage to be really on the inside or outside, because they can cross the lines after the merge also. So this will be tight.
Yeah, and Meunier's got the impetus. He is absolutely flat out there in third place, closing the gap down to Kekor, and it looks like Görklis could be under threat for the race lead. He goes Joker this time around. Kekor, the Hungarian, will also follow him there as well. Look at Meunier, absolutely sideways on the brakes. It's going to be tight on the rear merge then, and Görklis does manage to hold on to the race lead. Meunier slots into second place as they round the final corner. Görklis did just enough and had a superb Joker to come over the line and take the win. It's a 3:15.1 total race time as well, so that's going to be TQ spot at the end of Q4 for Rittich Görklis. Meunier drove so well in that first sector, but ultimately that Joker was just phenomenal from Görklis there.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage on the Joker entry. There's a lot of loose gravel and it's high speed left corner, so we've seen some hairy moments in that place, so it was a good one for Görklis.
Absolutely right. Görklis then ends it as the top man in Euro RX3 for RX3 then here in Q4, and Görklis then, as you can see, nearly 9/10 of a second over Julien Meunier, who's second place. Libor Teges, who won his heat, ends up P3 when all is said and done. Andreas Kragas in P4 ahead of Sam Kovacs, Dylan Dufas, Thiago Ferreira, then Václav Tuma, Jeremy Lombay, and Levente Kekor is your top 10. 15 drivers in RX3. A reminder that the top 12 go through into the semis. No quarters for these guys. And this is the start then. Rosberg got an absolute brilliant launch from the outside there, but just got hung out to dry, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's lacking a bit of power now as we come to the top part of the track on the long straight. I think it was in here we see that he's not really as fast on the long straight as some of the other drivers.
Yeah, there's the rejoin for Rosberg, just dropped behind Václav Tuma once it all worked out. Bit of smoke actually coming off the left rear of the car there as well. And this is the rejoin on the Joker for Rittich Görklis, just hooked up so nicely once he got on the power. And the upshot is he went through to finish at the top of it. Tommy, thank you so much for joining us, mate. You've got to get on and do some spotting in RX4. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Right. Qualifying standings then after Q4 in RX3. Julien Meunier ends up TQ ahead of Rittich Görklis, and then Levente Kekor. It's Samuel Kovacs in P4. Good job from the Hungarian driver at his home circuit ahead of Rosberg, Václav Tuma, Dylan Dufas, Ferreira, Kragas, Senegaknik, Lombay and Teges are the drivers who'll be going forwards. Nick Gellard's going to be so disappointed to have missed out. Right, let's get Q4 done and dusted then, but head down to Hal in the paddock. What have you got for us, Hal?
Damien Litvinovic, he had great pace in that Q4 race, lost a little bit towards the end. Krzysztof Skorupski said he thought it might be a drive shaft problem when I saw him outside the spotters tower. Now you've had time to assess it, what was the problem?
Yeah, it was a drive shaft, the rear one, so yeah, a little bit have more front wheel drive than four wheel drive, so yeah, a little bit issue and a little bit angry because, you know, I wanted to have a really good quali, the last quali. So yeah, but hope now in the quarterfinal will be no problem, no technical issues.
We've just seen RX3, front wheel drive is a bit like your history, isn't it? Former RX3 champion, of course. But despite that problem, you're still on the front row for the quarterfinals. That's really important, isn't it, if you want to progress through to the semis and hopefully the final later on?
Yeah, of course. I think but to be honest, in this track, I will prefer and not P8 than more P9, because then I will be inside in the second row. I think it's better on this track because, you know, you just can sleep from the front guy, and you know the outside line is a little bit dirty, so it's hard to. If you don't overtake on the start, it's hard to make it.
Full send around the outside, then, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, I think we will try it. We will see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, Hal. Much appreciated. Good to catch up with Damien Litvinovic then. So, Euro RX5, the first time we're seeing the cross cars here this weekend. Thank you for your patience with that, by the way. There's simply so much racing going on, so much action, because it's been an absolute belter of a weekend, and a really pronounced entry list, especially in RX1, but that's why we're not been able to bring you RX5 up to date, but we know that you at home have been really looking forward to seeing the cross cars out in action. Here's how it sits after 3 qualifying sessions so far. So Martin Ugar, the Estonian, on the top of the table ahead of Marco Muro, his countryman, and then Adam Kelogere, the Hungarian, alongside him. And further down the order, you can see, of course, it's 15 drivers in RX5, and we're going to see 12 of them going through into the semi-finals. This is the last of the qualifiers here this weekend for RX5, and yeah, keen to see how this one is going to work out. Just a reminder, we've got Q4 here for RX5 along the way for you next. Then we'll have the RX1 quarterfinals, and we'll see which of those 3 drivers from each of the 4 quarterfinals will be moving forwards into the semis, which will be along the way at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Then we'll get through into the proper finals for all of the classes, and looking forward to seeing how that one is going to get underway. Well, we're in the red cauldron, and some are getting adrenaline out on the racetrack, some going headfirst towards the ground in a bungee jump. And I've got to be honest, watching that, Hal, I'm pretty glad I'm still up here in commentary.
That is not for me.
Yeah,
Rallycross Supercar, RX1, yeah, absolutely. That, no chance.
Yeah, no, I don't fancy that. I've got to be honest with you. But fair play for giving it a go. Have you ever seen those bungee jumps people do without a bungee? No, it's just a jump, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. But it's like you've got one of those like big trampolines you can just like whack into it. And I'm just like, yeah, but what if the wind hits you?
I saw someone do it on a carpet the other day. On Instagram, obviously, flying down and then at the last minute release the parachute.
Right. It's like that, that Red Bull thing. Have you ever seen that, like where they make their own planes and then they jump off the edge? And you just like, you look at it and you think, well, that's just a surefire way of ending up, you know, on Booper's blacklist or something, isn't it? Like, it's one of those. I've got to say, some really good action there we saw in RX3 just a couple of minutes ago. Richie Skirkless, for me, standout performer with that one. Really, really impressive. Let's have a look at the RX1 standings for you, though. So, Andreas Bakkerud is your TQ man after all is said and done, from Johan Kristoffersson, then Joni Torpainen ahead of Rukkanen, Linneman. OC Vaby has managed to move his way up to P6 after a bit of a sluggish start to the weekend, actually, by his reckoning. Then Paje Litvinovic, who we heard from a couple of moments ago. Tamas Kárai, circuit owner and the hometown driver, in P9 ahead of Patrick O'Donovan. Big old repair job they've got to get that car done. Right, so there's your RX3 standings. Hal, now we're going into the quarterfinals for RX1, but how does it all break down for everybody else?
Yeah, so quarterfinals for the top 24, the top 3 from each go into the semi-finals, semi-finals top 3 from each progress through to the final, and then we get the last 6 and the last 6 laps, and the winner of that final race determines the winner of the event. Championship points spread between the quarters, semis and finals, so there's points to be won at every stage now, so every position counts. Even if you're below the cut line and you're not likely to progress, every position is still important.
Yeah, RX4, you can see your standings there. We won't be bringing you coverage of that for Q4, but we will be back with it for the finals. No semis, of course, for those drivers. It's just a bit of a small grid. You can see the RX5 standings, so it's still Yuga who is at the top by 4 points over Marco Muru. Adam Kello-Guerre there in third place over Valentin Comte. Brownmiller's the big surprise for me, though, here, Hal, because he's down in P5 in the standings, and we saw it from our commentary position yesterday. He got fired off in Q2. Absolutely fired, yeah. Went up on 2 wheels, head on into the wall on the outside. Doesn't have reverse in a cross car, and yeah, your race is over at that point. But obviously fighting back very well, was 5th fastest in Q3, fastest of all in Q1, and now in Q4 will need a really stellar time to climb back up the order as far as he can ahead of the semis. Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm just trying to get the warm-up results, actually, for these drivers, just to see if there's anything that we can sort of read into it. Where was Bramwell? He was 3rd quickest. Marco Muru was the quickest man. You had about half a second separating Muru, Yuga, Brownmiller and Comte after all was said and done in the warm-up this morning. Murray was telling me last night that he's been struggling on the start, so actually the pace is good, but the start's his Achilles heel at the moment. Well, let's see how this one is going to work out. Then 3 sets of races for the drivers in Q4 for RX5 cross car, as you may know it, and the grid lining up and in position ahead of a 4-lapper for their last time before the semis and the finals. Righto, Otto Horvath on pole position with Brian Neumeier, beg your pardon, Paolo Martins, Ben Bartlett, and then Marit Micic, the Czech driver, on the outside of the front row. You can see these drivers, they're sort of on the fringes of making it through at the moment. Martin's the only driver, along with Horvath, that will be progressing as it stands for now. But of course, we've got another couple of races coming along the way, and anything can change in the world of rallycross. Right, so Horvath in the yellow machine on pole position, Neumeier alongside, then you've got Paolo Martins in the red car in the middle, ready to race board. It's on, 4 laps of action is about to go green. Let's see who will get the best start as the lights go out and we go racing. Nice initial getaway from Neumeier then, but better from Horvath off of pole position. Martins is going to slot into 3rd place. Bartlett's stuck on the inside as Micic tries to go the long way around the outside in the white car, and he's getting his way through into 4th place, maybe challenging for 3rd, but just loses out to Paolo Martins on the exit and the run down into turn 2. Bartlett going for the Kristoffersson move around the outside, but with these being much narrower than an RX1 machine, you are able to use that grip with the width of the racing line available.
manages to get the job done, does Bartlett.
Yeah, Neumeier then close behind Otto Horvath at the moment. Nose to tail between Martins, Bartlett and Miček. Bartlett decides to peel off, goes into the Joker here on the opening lap. You can send it really fast in these cross cars. They weigh about as much as your shoes, to be honest with you. They're super quick. 600cc engines shoved in the back of them, and motorcycle gearbox as well. So you've got a sequential shifter. They are absolutely brilliant to drive as Horvath leads at the end of lap 1 here.
Horvath just pulling a bit of a margin in the middle sector of everybody else, clearly feeling at one with the home circuit. Such an advantage if you've been here several times, because this track, while the opening round in Riga was technical, this is technical in a whole different way, and local knowledge is always important, isn't it?
You can see how fast these cars are, just how light they are. They were getting air and the front wheels were coming up, going through into turn 1. Now Neumeier all over the back of Horvath then here as we come down the run into the left-hander. Is he going to try and think about sending one on the inside? Martins goes into the Joker then in the background. That releases Marit Miček, I beg your pardon, into third position. Still nose to tail between Horvath and Neumeier, as Bartlett has got the overcut then on Martins and gets his way up into 4th place for the Briton. Just have a look at this into turn 1 here. Over the crest of the hill, you're going to see them flying their way over, and almost the front wheels lifting through there.
So light on the front, aren't they? And you see quite often with the cross-car machines, if you get understeer, it's chronic understeer, because you can't really get it to get the rear moving, and that's why you'll see many drivers get the rotation done on the way in, so that you're leaning on the outer wall of the rear tyres.
Miček's coming here as well, isn't he? He's fastest man last time around. He's closed the deficit down to 2.2 seconds. Neumeier goes into the Joker then here. Miček will carry on the normal lap, so that's going to release Neumeier into a bit of clear air. Should come out ahead of Ben Bartlett quite comfortably. Re-emerges onto the track, and yeah, he's nicely in a decent bit of clear air then here.
Miček runs a bit wide there, had that understeer I was talking about through the hairpin, and I think these two at the front probably just overly aware of each other. It cost them a little bit of time, because Miček's some gap behind, 2 seconds behind the leader at the moment. Is going to get gobbled up by some of the pack behind by taking the Joker on this final tour.
Yep, so they'll be going round, as you say, on this last lap. Horvath, it is that's still leading. Miček, though, has put in some really strong lap times. He's still yet to Joker, but we reckon that Horvath could be losing first to Brian Neumeier then, because he's been driving quite well. The gap at 3.2 seconds. Into the Joker goes Horvath. Miček will follow him into there as well, but it's on stage right where you need to be keeping an eye on Brian Neumeier there. He's got the inside line. He's going to have this one relatively comfortably then here as he comes out of the corner. Had a couple of bites of the cherry, but great exit speed there for Horvath. He slots his way into 2nd place. The gap's going to be closed on the inside here, but Neumeier tries to invent something. Bit of bumping into the last turn, but across the line, Brian Neumeier takes it in Q4 Heat 1 for the RX5 boys ahead of Otto Horvath and Ben Bartlett on the podium there in P3 as well. Time to beat so far in Q4 is a 3:19.570. In terms of the times we've seen so far, that is actually a fair way off of the ultimate pace from some of the drivers. The quickest time we've seen is a 3:13, and that was set by Martin Ugar yesterday in Q2. Confirmation of the results then. Neumeier takes it from Horvath, and Ben Bartlett also into P3 as well. Let's have a look at the start. It was Miček on the outside there, who got a really good launch, but just ran out of room to use it, and ultimately it left him vulnerable here then into turn 2.
Damien Levinovic telling us in that interview just before that he doesn't really want to be on the outside in his quarter-final, but we have seen drivers pull that off, haven't we, in every category this weekend, so it'll be interesting how that progresses. This was the collection of the slowest drivers from Q3 yesterday afternoon. The track had dried quite a lot by the time RX5 came round after that rainstorm in RX1, but the track is at its best condition it's been so far this weekend.
Yeah, just goes to show you the difference in terms of the pace. You can see the repairs still going on frantically down at RX Racing for Patrick O'Donovan's car. Quarter-finals, about 10 minutes or so, we'll be getting those underway, and O'Donovan, of course, very much in doubt.
That rear corner is now on. You can see with the drive track being done up with the nut gun in the middle. As I said before, that's Ross Rucroft, one of the mechanics. Lots to do.
Yeah, proper repair job going on there. Let's hope they can get that fixed. We'd love to see Patrick O'Donovan out there for this one. Righto, Q4 Heat 2 then. Valentin Conte on pole position. Diego Martinez with Flavio Martins, older brother to Paolo, younger brother, beg your pardon, to Paolo alongside. Then Dominikos Kovacs and Marin Josek alongside. So how's this one going to go down then here? A reminder, out of the 15 drivers on the grid, top 12 will go through into your semis. It's the black machine, though, of Valentin Comte, who's on at pole position. Martinez alongside in the black and blue car, and Martins in the red machine in the middle. Right then, eyes on the lights for Q4 Heat 2. Green light and go. Nice initial reaction from Martins. Not so good, though, from Martinez Gonzalez as they head down into turn 1. It's the whole shot for Valentin Comte off of pole position. He gets it a bit sideways, though, over the jump as Martin slots his way through into P2 there.
Kovac's just got a bit of a wheelie off the line, didn't he, from that 4th slot. You've got to kill that, haven't you, so it doesn't pick the nose right up. Drop down to P4 at the moment. Gonzalez has gained a position and running well in P3, but Comte, who was really looking very on top of the car in Riga in the opening round, at the front in this one.
Yeah, Martinez and Kovacs going in Joker then on the first time, so they're following themselves on the same strategy here. We'll see whether Kovacs has got more pace than Martinez, because that could be his undoing now that the driver in front has gone into that Joker. If he's got more pace, he ends up stuck behind him. That could cost him an opportunity to gain position once it's all re-emerged. Lap 2 we begin. Comte, quickest man. Martins, though, in second place already, 1.6 seconds behind. And this is good news here for Valentin Comte, because he can just drive his own race. Where was he in the standings going into this one? He was 4th, wasn't he? P4 in that Ligier. So, yeah, he's definitely got the most pace out of these drivers in terms of the overall performance we've seen so far in these 3 qualifiers. Flavio Martins just sitting there in second position. As I said, younger brother to Paolo, been racing in the Off-Road Northwest Cup over the last couple of seasons. Finished 13th overall with a couple of podiums to his name last year. Doesn't quite have the pace to live with Comte, though, as it stands for now. Getting a bit out of shape behind there as well, with Martinez and Dominokos Kovacs. Time to beat, just to remind you, in this one is Brian Neumeier with a 3:19.570. Still a fair way off of the quickest pace we've seen so far from these guys. 3:13, as I said, set yesterday in Q2 by Martin Ugart.
I think we could see the last race trouble that time, actually, given the conditions at the moment. But it is, the temperature's dropped again, hasn't it, Tom? From it being swelteringly hot.
It's gotten humid, isn't it? There's a lot of sort of stickiness in the air. It's actually quite unpleasant, to be honest with you, stood here in the commentary position. And again, when you've got the sun beating down here and it's quite a dry heat, it's actually not too bad. But when it gets a bit stickier like this, it's a bit less pleasant.
And when you're in a cross car in RX5, wet conditions are tough.
There's contact there between Martinez Gonzalez and Kovacs is going to have another bash here with Lohéac through the final turn. Just about manages to keep it facing in the right direction, and Kovacs does manage to hold on to 4th place, or does he? Because Lohéac is coming back on the outside into turn 1. He's going to try and get the switch back over the crest of the hill. Very sideways there for Kovacs. That opens the door for Lohéac. Gets it through for second place, but he runs it wide on the exit of turn 2. Can he make the move stick as they run side by side up the hill? Sideways again here for Kovacs, and somehow Lohéac does manage to get that 4th place from him.
Good composure from the French driver from 11 Motorsport, just to hold his nerve on the inside, move out a little bit to force Kovacs round the outside.
Comte, meanwhile, in the Joker on this final lap, then he's absolutely dominated proceedings at the sharp end of this one. It's going to be the quickest times we've seen so far, a 3:11.362, so best of the weekend, as you see Flavio Martins getting his elbows out then here on this final lap and trying to make his way through on Kovacs, and he did get 4th place at the checkered flag. So quite a terrible final lap there for the Hungarian driver of Kovacs. Lost 2 places on the space of 1.2 kilometres around this circuit. And that was a bit more like it in Q4 Heat 2 for the RX5 drivers. Right, we'll see what happens in Heat 3 in a couple of moments' time. But yeah, that time, 8 seconds faster overall race time compared to what we had in Heat 1 a few minutes beforehand. Confirmation of the results then. Comte takes the win from Diego Martinez, then Marin Lohéac in 3rd position ahead of Flavio Martins, mugging Dominokos Kovacs to the line at the checkered flag. And let's see how it sits in the standings then after Q4 here so far, with 1 heat still left to run. So it's Comte now, your TQ, ahead of Martinez. Then Neumeier, the winner from the first heat a couple of minutes ago, drops down to P3 ahead of Lohéac, Otto Horvath. Then it's Flavio Martins, Dominokos Kovacs, Ben Bartlett, Mario Micic, and Paolo Martins complete your top 10. This is how it started then. It all got a bit frantic, didn't it, there, with some drivers not getting away from the lights particularly well and just trying to find their way through.
Kills your momentum, doesn't it, that little skip, if you haven't got it absolutely nailed, because the car sort of doesn't belly out, but you lose your rhythm over the top of it. Kovács trying around the outside on the opening lap. Would try that again later in the race. This is Lohéac in the Joker.
Yeah,
as Gonzalez is under pressure. I think it was a busy race for Kovács, wasn't it? With Lohéac having a nibble up the inside. Lots of contact between the front wheels and the rear wheels of the two cars. And that will, you know, as you know, Tom, having raced these machines, that really fights the wheel out of your hand, doesn't it? Because they're open wheel machines.
Super fast, those machines. And yeah, I have raced one. I actually went to Spain to drive one a couple of years ago in the middle of February, thinking it's going to be a lovely weekend. And it turned out to start raining very heavily, and it wasn't quite as pleasant. Thankfully, these drivers no such problems. O'Donovan's car looking like it's in a better state of repair than we saw it about 5 minutes ago at the front.
We are looking at the good side there, aren't we?
Exactly.
In fairness, new tyres for the front. I can't quite see the side of that tyre. I think that's a new tyre as well on that corner. These are so precise, these machines. There's a lot to do to make sure they're all pointing in the right direction for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, not long to go until that gets underway. We're hearing news that Renault Munich will not be taking part in the quarterfinals. Not 100% sure as to why that is at the moment. Hopefully we'll get you an update on that. Right, let's get this last one underway. Adam Kárai on pole position with Marco Muru alongside Martin Nyirád, who has been the quickest man so far this weekend here in Hungary with Armin Rog, and then Tim Braumüller, the winner from Riga a few weeks ago on the outside and sort of on the back foot really. DNF in Q2 put him down to 5th place in the standings, but he has had good pace, so let's see what he can do from the outside of that row of the grid and if he can get a good launch in that black machine. So Kárai on the right hand side in the black car, then you've got Marco Muru in the white and blue machine in the middle in the black and yellow car. That is Martin Nyirád, your TQ so far here in RX5. Red lights on, wait for the green light and go. Good start from Nyirád. Nice one as well from Kárai off a pole position. They draw alongside each other as Muru gets left hanging a little bit down into turn 1. He drops down to 4th place, maybe down into 5th position, but through the first couple of corners, relatively clean through there, and a good start from all involved, especially off the middle of the front row as they come down through the first sector.
Martin Nyirád with the best possible start in this one. He dominated proceedings in the opening round in Riga, took a clean sweep through qualifying and then just didn't get it done when it mattered most towards the end of the final.
Relko's Joker on the opening lap. He wants to run in a bit of clear air. He's the only driver out of the 5 to go and do that. If he can make it stick and just run in clear air, set a good couple of laps while the others are squabbling in front of him, because they're all quite close at this particular point, it could prove to be quite beneficial.
Nyirád, Pace Motorsport supported driver. I was talking to team boss there, Jarmo Vosa, who'd been to see Martin Nyiráad's car after that opening round and was astonished that he thought he'd re-wrapped it because it was so clean, but actually he'd led so much of that weekend from the front that there was barely any gravel rash, barely any damage to the wrap at all, and this is exactly where you need to be if you want to maintain that, isn't it, at the front of the field?
Yeah, doing a really good job as Nyirád just pulling away from Kárai and also Muru is now sort of mired in the pack. That poor start really costing him a bit dearly here. I wonder if he might peel off into the Joker. Yeah, he does, right behind, so he wants to run a bit clearer, but he's deep into the Joker, out onto the rough stuff on the outside. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second or so. Is he going to emerge crucially in front of Armin Rog? No, he's going to drop behind, so that's not worked out really there for Marco Muru. He's going to have to do it the hard way to get through on Armin Rog. What was Rog last time around in terms of his lap? Of 46.2, so that was about a couple of tenths of a second slower than Braumüller.
Armin Rog has been a star since he turned up on the international cross car scene in the last 18 months or so. Marco Muru, super experienced, began his rallycross career in anger with the Jussi Pinnamäki-led RX Academy series a few years ago and is a regular competitor in all sorts of categories in the Baltic states.
Yeah, just 22 years of age is Marco Muru, as you said, made his Euro RX debut in the RX2E category.
Nyirád in the Joker here, around the outside.
Where's he going to emerge? I think that's okay. Yeah, Kárai still yet to Joker side by side with Rog and Muru then here for position as well. Both those drivers have Joker, just one more left to go.
The Estonian will have been well aware of his compatriot's pace, won't he? And that move is just to cover them off, to not allow them to close the gap. Muru, as I said, told me last night that they're frustrated with the starts at the moment. Just don't think they're that dialed in the start process compared to some of the other manufacturers. Lots of different brands of cross car here in this series at the moment, but their lap speed is good, and Nyirád ultimately taking that Joker just to make sure that he doesn't lose track position come the end of the race.
Look at Nyirád then on the back of Kárai. He's going to peel off to the right, go into the Joker. Full send from Nyirád then as he comes onto the loose stuff. It's still close between Rog and Muru for second position, where though is Kárai going to emerge in relation to it. He's going to slot in just in front there of Tim Brownmüller. So out of the final corner we go. Across the line, Nyirád takes the win from Armin Rog and Marco Muru. Kárai gets 4th place in his home round then here for Q4 Heat 3. And Brownmüller, the winner from Riga a few weeks ago, last of the classified runners. So it's not going so well for the German driver here. But the time there, a 3:09.172. That is the quickest we've seen so far this weekend from the RX5 drivers. And Rog only 1.7 seconds away from that as well. So it'll be pretty tight between himself and Comte. Yeah, he's actually just managed to get ahead of him, hasn't he, there by a few tenths of a second. So Nyirád takes it then. He's your TQ ahead of the semi-finals for these drivers later on. You've got Comte there in 3rd place. Let's have another look down at what's going on for O'Donovan at the moment.
So the first quarter-final is in the grid at the moment. O'Donovan's in the 2nd quarter-final alongside Niels Volland on row 2. They're just struggling to get the bonnet on the car at the moment with the front bodywork damage. So this is crunch time to try and get Patrick O'Donovan's car down to the pre-grid.
Yeah, big news for Patrick O'Donovan. Let's have a look at the point standings in RX5 though, just before we get the quarterfinals underway. So Nyirád is your top qualifier ahead of his compatriot Marco Muru. Comte there in 3rd place ahead of Adam Kárai, who romped to that very strong result a couple of moments ago. Armin Rog also in the mix there as well. 15 drivers in cross car. And let's see how this one is going to work out though as we shift our focus over to RX1 for the quarter-finals. This, of course, is the first time we're going to see drivers being knocked out in the race conditions, not done on the timing standings after the qualifiers. So we've got 4 quarter-finals coming up for you, and we have got 6 drivers in each. Top 3 from each of them will move forwards.
And a staggered start, the 3 rows of the grid. This has a big implication because none of these drivers have started from anything but the front row so far this weekend. They won't know where the grip levels are at in those 2nd and 3rd starting positions, row starting positions, so it's going to be really tricky for them to set their start parameters.
Quarterfinal 1 then, Andreas Bakkerud, your TQ man on pole position with Jurek Linnemann alongside on the front row of the grid in his Volkswagen Polo. Tamas Kárai, circuit owner, in P3 on the grid on row 2 with Kasper Janssen alongside him. And then your 3rd and final row is occupied by Johannes Rafos, who actually had a really good Q4 earlier on this morning. Laszlo Kiss, the Hungarian driver, completes it here then. All about the start in the world of rallycross. And right, Patrick O'Donovan's car still not ready. I'm doubting whether he's going to make it here, Hal, to be honest.
It's going to be tight, isn't it? They need to be in pretty good as soon as. Such a large amount of work for those boys to do.
Yeah, possible worst timing for Patrick O'Donovan, and that would be a big shame to end his weekend by not getting into the quarterfinals. Right, starters orders then. We up a lap, we go up to 5 here in the quarterfinals from 4. We've now got the grid starts as well, and who is going to get the best launch away? Well, the most grippy, crucially, coming into the semis and the finals later. Anti-lag on, revs are rising. Quarterfinal 1 for RX1 is underway. Good start from Bakkerud, nice one from Linnemann as well. Look at Rafos trying to get the jump there on Kárai, but no room to use it. Janssen slots his way up into 2nd place as we come over the crest of the hill and head in towards turn 2. Kárai looking on the inside of Linnemann there, but nothing doing. Rafos is, though, crucially through on Laszlo Kiss as he makes a bit of ground.
Kasper Janssen will be thanking his lucky stars. Finally, a little bit of luck this weekend. Jurek Linnemann had a good reaction, but then just wasn't able to carry that momentum for whatever reason towards the first corner. Janssen around the outside of him, and now on the back of the fastest driver so far today. This will be where Janssen can really start to build his weekend.
Rafos goes joker, likewise Laszlo Kiss there as well. That's important for Rafos. Wants to run in a bit of clear air, needs to not get stuck behind the likes of Tamas Kárai, because ultimately Rafos has had a little bit more pace compared to the Hungarian driver, and he'll be a bit out of sequence if he gets stuck behind him. Be that cork in the bottle thing that we've been talking about all weekend. Linnemann keeping Kárai at bay as we begin at lap 2. Bakkerud still quickest at the moment. Kasper Janssen, though, just 7/10 of a second away as we ride on board with the Bergen Motorsport driver down into 4.
This is going to be tough for Jurek Linnemann. He's going to have to keep an eye, or his sister as a spotter is going to have to keep an eye on Rafos' pace behind, but they also won't really want to give Tamas Kárai clear air. Linnemann just does not have the pace.
Kárai's gone through. I think Kárai's made it according to the time screen. Linnemann's dropped down as well, so clearly he's made a mistake because he stopped. He stopped, yeah, that's on turn 2, isn't it? So we can see from our commentary position, Linnemann has come to a stop, and that's a big shame for the Danish driver. He'll go no further than quarterfinals here. Rafos has got the overcut, though, and the speed to get through on Tamas Kárai. That early joker's paid real dividends there for him. Gets a tap in the back at the final turn from the Hungarian, but crucially there for Johannes Rafos, the Norwegian, makes some ground.
This is, I think we're going to see Lindemann drop it. There's been something wrong from the outset for Lindemann. Drops it into the wall on the outside. He's going to then drive off the circuit. We saw in the background lots of gravel on the track there, Tom. What a shame for Jürgen Lindemann, who went second quickest in Q3 yesterday. I'm hearing that the wheels are going on Patrick O'Donovan's car, and they are making their way to Prugid. What an amazing job by that team to get him into the quarterfinals. But what an amazing job from Kasper Janssen here, Tom, to be hanging on to the coattails of the pace setter so far this weekend, Andreas Bakkerud.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're expecting to see from Kasper Janssen. It has been a tough weekend for the Norwegian so far. Just 13th after all was said and done in the qualifiers, and we only really saw the proper performance, the potential from him in that machine in Q4, really. He's had a tough time of it, had a spin in one of the qualifiers yesterday, and as you say, now keeping Bakkerud very honest indeed here.
Good margin, though. They've got back to Rafos, some nearly 8 seconds, and Bakkerud will be conserving the tyres because he'll know this is a long game this season. If he's got any hope of beating the KMS drivers through the course of the year, it's going to be about tyre management come the end.
So into the Joker then goes Janssen on the penultimate lap. A reminder, the top 3 drivers are the ones that will go through at the moment. It's Rafos who has still got Tamas Kárai, both those drivers who have Jokered and bearing down on him. Kárai will know that his spotter will be on the blower saying, get your way past Rafos if you want to get through into the semi-finals. Through the last corner we go and onto the last lap. Bakkerud it is that still leads, 4.3 seconds. I think he's got it sewn up against Kasper Janssen, but who's going to be joining them? Is it Rafos or is it Kárai here?
Shocking weekend, really, for Kárai, given that we know he's got great ultimate pace and knows this circuit, as you've said, Tom, like the back of his hand. Bakkerud will be on a push lap now relative to what he's done before, just to make sure he can retain a gap at the front.
He's into the Joker. Nicely done there for Andreas Bakkerud. Let's see if he gets it rotated okay down the bottom of the hill. There is Kasper Janssen. It's going to be a comfortable emerge out of it to hold the line and hold the place. And he does manage to retain the lead as he comes through the final corner. Andreas Bakkerud will win quarterfinal 1 here in Hungary, ahead of Kasper Janssen. And then Johannes Rafos is just about going to hold off the charge and the challenge from Tamas Kárai, who will go no further than the quarterfinals. So Bakkerud, Janssen, Rafos are your top 3 that go through into semi-final 1. We lose Tamas Kárai, we lose Laszlo Kiss, the 2 Hungarian drivers, to the disappointment of the crowd here in Nyirád. And let's get confirmation of those results. Andreas Bakkerud and Kasper Janssen separated by less than 2 seconds at the checkered flag. Rafos over the line in P3 to make it into the semi-finals as well.
Yet again, the quarterfinals deliver. Jürgen Lindemann it was who benefited most last time. See on the front row here, he had a good reaction, then dropped back. Kasper Janssen, though, around the outside. Rafos is P6 into the first corner. Blue car at the bottom of your screen gets up the inside of one of the local stars, Laszlo Kiss, and is currently behind Kárai at this day. Rafos has had great pace all day from the opening warm-up, and he was on the back row of the grid. So a great job from him. Lindemann drops it into the wall there on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gravel everywhere.
Job,
Lucky
yeah,
no one else went wide on that later in the race.
Such a shame, isn't it, for Jürgen Lindemann? Really good pace, but this was a crucial moment for Johannes Rafos. That re-emerge on the Joker, just getting ahead. That early Joker on the opening lap is really what paid him dividends there.
Kárai just making sure his mark is left on this event by rubbing the nose of the Audi S1 into the rear of Rafos' Ford Fiesta. Bakkerud, little celebration in the car, thumbs up, knows that's important.
This is great. Patrick O'Donovan does make it through into the second quarterfinals. A proper repair job from that team. There's his spotter up there. Well, look, there's no chance to, of course, test the car and see what's happening ahead of this quarterfinal, so it's a big step into the unknown. Here's how the grid lines up, though. Johan Kristoffersson on pole position with his teammate OC Baby alongside 2 KMS boys on the front row of the grid. Patrick O'Donovan will line up on the second row in P3 ahead of Niels Volland. Mega repair job from RX Racing. They'll be pleased with that. Ollie O'Donovan, his father, is just behind in P5, and Mandy August is into the quarterfinals in the Munich Motorsport machine. That's as far as she's gotten all season, actually. Failed to progress out of the qualifiers in Riga a few weeks ago. And let's see what she can do. There is Ollie O'Donovan just doing a bit of tyre cleaning, a bit of tyre warming as he makes his way on to the grid in that Peugeot 208. And there is Mandy August as well in the Seat Ibiza. It's been a quick starting car so far this weekend, but she has been inconsistent, is probably the politest way of putting it, off of the start. Some races she's gotten away particularly well, others she's failed to do so. Don't think she's going to have the pace to bring it to some of the other drivers in terms of sort of overall performance, but this is rallycross. Anything can happen. It's not about times now in this race, Hal. It's all about where you finish on track.
And not necessarily about pace either. Sometimes it's about being the survival of the fittest, isn't it? And avoiding the carnage, but with a pair of teammates, KMS on the front row, Team RX Racing on rows 2 and 3, you would expect them to give at least each other a bit of space.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the KMS drivers have not had the best start so far this season, indeed even this weekend. So let's see what the launch is going to be like from POD and Ollie O'Donovan from behind. If they can get a good launch, maybe they can upset the rhythm of the 2 KMS drivers. But quarter-final 2 about to get underway then here in Nyirád. The 2 KMS drivers on pole position on the front row. There is Johan Kristoffersson. Alongside him is OC Baby, his teammate. Patrick O'Donovan in the background with Nils Volland alongside. Green light and we go racing. Nice one from Baby, actually. And they immediately move over to try and block the charge of Patrick O'Donovan as they head down to the first corner. So Kristoffersson on the inside, Baby on the outside, wide there for O'Donovan. O'Donovan's on the inside into turn 2. Can he make it stick? He's going to try and split the 2 KMS drivers, and he does. He gets the better of OC Baby.
Kristoffersson tried holding O'Donovan back there on the inside of turn 2, hoping that OC Baby could get around the outside. It did not work, so O'Donovan splits the KMS Polos on this opening lap. What a great reward for his mechanics that have worked so hard to get that car back on the grid.
Top 3 not going Joker. Does anybody behind do so? Yep, Nils Volland, Ollie O'Donovan does indeed go into the Joker. Nose to tail though between the top 3, and this is going to be a frantic race at the sharp end of this one. Kristoffersson is going to have a bit more pace, but look at that Baby on the inside, gives a tap to O'Donovan through the final corner. Can't do it, can't make it stick here.
Top 3 go through, remember, and you'd have to say the pace so far this weekend would suggest that it's going to be these 3 at the front, but Nils Volland has good speed in him and that ODS1. He's looming in the background, just dropped to just over a second off the back of Baby at the moment.
Yeah, onto the loose we go once more, the fastest part of the circuit. So Kristoffersson still leads. There's O'Donovan, there's Baby, there's Nils Volland lurking in the background as they come down in towards the normal loop. Nobody going Joker inside the top 4. That's not a surprise. There's no gap from behind to sort of make that work at the moment.
Fastest first sector of the race so far for Patrick O'Donovan on this lap. He's gapping Baby just a little bit.
He's keeping Kristoffersson honest here then, isn't he, here as well? He is a man driving that is, I imagine, quite angry behind the cockpit of that car after his mistake that we saw in Q4, and he sets the fastest lap to boot there as well. A 43.4 for Patrick O'Donovan. This is quite sensational after a repair job from the RX Racing team. He was in the barrier. All 3 corners of the car were absolutely ruined following that Q4 performance, and he is driving superlatively well to keep OC Baby at bay and to still split the 2 KMS cars.
I'm pretty sure that's O'Donovan's fastest lap of the weekend. OC Baby Jokers to the right-hand side. He had a big moment there last season, keeps it nice, neat and tidy. Look at Nils Volland though on the inside. Is he going to get ahead and hold Baby's charge?
He is, yeah. Baby's going to drop behind there as it's side by side between August and O'Donovan in the background there as well. August hasn't jokered, O'Donovan has. Now Baby's going to try and get through on Nils Volland before too long, or hope that Volland does not hold him up as they come over the rise and into turn 1. So Baby sitting in P3. That'll be enough for him for now because Volland will drop behind after he jokers, but
it's risky business
it is, that's the thing.
To have jokered Baby into that traffic. Maybe there was an assumption there that Volland would joker as well, but it hasn't happened.
Kristoffersson now trying to gap against O'Donovan. This has been a really good lap from Johan, the 8-time world champion.
I think O'Donovan's jokes in the background. Right. Sorry, Tom, because we've lost him from that drone shot. Is O'Donovan in the extra route?
You can see him in our commentary position. He is in the extra route. He's just making his way around the hairpin. He's going to come out in front of OC Baby. Likewise, Nils Volland also went Joker. That released Baby then, so only about half a lap or so that the Norwegian driver was held up by the German. Out of the final corner we go and across the line to begin the last lap. Kristoffersson's going to have this one sewn up then here in quarter-final 2. And O'Donovan looks like he has got second place secure against OC Baby.
And a substantial gap as well as the gap between second and third. All these 3, well, they'll want to improve their position, albeit Kristoffersson in the lead. It'll be a little bit about not overheating the tyres as well. The first time's done more than 4 laps this weekend.
Yeah, trying to save a bit of margin for the semis and, of course, the finals. Only 8 tyres available for these drivers. 4 they carry over from Riga. 4 will be brand new, and they can obviously just stick 1 new boot on or a couple of new boots on, depending on what they need. But Kristoffersson is going to win it in quarter-final 2 then here for KMS. O'Donovan over the line in second place. An amazing job from the RX Racing squad to get that car repaired, rush it onto the grid, and he rewards them with a second-place finish and a spot in the semi-finals. OC Baby in third position ahead of Nils Volland, who does not make the cut, and likewise Ollie O'Donovan going no further than the quarter-finals with Mandy August completing the field. Thumbs up there from RX Racing at the Spotters Tower.
David Mansfield clearly pleased with that. He's done his job in the Spotters Tower. The mechanics absolutely did their job, as you said, Tom. Johan Kristoffersson wins quarter-final 2. Patrick O'Donovan makes it through to the semis. OC Veiby also through to the next stage, but Volland, O'Donovan and August go no further this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job there from the two KMS drivers, exactly what we're expecting to see. It was a good start from Veiby and Kristoffersson. They worked really nicely there to try and block off the charge of O'Donovan, but the gap was there on the inside once Veiby ran it a bit deep.
Look at turn 2 here. Kristoffersson checks up, he's in the brakes, he's trying to hold O'Donovan back and allow Veiby to get around the outside, but at some point Kristoffersson has to get back in the throttle. Great angle of it here, look. He's in the brakes, running the nose a bit deep, trying to let OC go around the outside, just couldn't get that done. I wonder if that gravel actually on the outside from where Ulrich Linnemann went in the wall earlier on also meant that the traction wasn't quite there in that corner, but that was just a masterclass from Johan Kristoffersson, wasn't it? How often have we seen him manage a race from the front like that?
Well, there's no adage for experience in motor racing, is there? And let's be honest, Johan has got some of the most experience out there, especially in conditions like this. Really, really good job. Great taxis from the KMS drivers. They split it 1 and 3 with O'Donovan there in the middle and progressing forwards into the semis. Right, quarterfinal 3 then for RX1. It's Joni Torpainen on pole position with Fabien Paillet alongside in his ex-pro drive Renault Megane. João Ribeiro on row 2 with Martin Enlund alongside him for company. Row 3 looks a bit like this: Paulius Plaskovas and Mark Moser. Now, Plaskovas and Moser haven't really had the pace to bring it to the front runners here, so you'd imagine they're not going to be too much of a feature. Behind, though, on that second row of the grid, keen to see how it is going to work out between Ribeiro and Enlund here. Fans in the grandstand, they've been absolutely loving it here this weekend, and no surprise at all. It has been a hugely exciting bit of action on track that we've seen so far. We've had a bit of weather yesterday, and now it's sunny and dry here for the quarterfinals. Our third out of 4 races ready to go then. So, eyes on the lights, wait for that green light to come on. Torpainen on pole positions, green light and go. Good start from Paillet, not so good from Ribeiro. He gets left stranded down in towards turn 1. Enlund, contact there on the inside with Paulius Plaskovas, gets it facing in the right direction. Sideways though, and wide over the jump, but Torpainen getting the start he needed to as contact between Ribeiro and is that Enlund into...
Broken left rear suspension, Enlund in the Ford Fiesta. What a clumsy first couple of corners. Martin really forced the issue into the first corner. I wonder if he'd been better saving that fight for another day, but gifted Ribeiro an opportunity here to get back into the semi-finals. There is Enlund going wide, having been side by side with Plaskovas, and this is the contact, Tom.
Yeah, Ribeiro's on the inside. He just squeezed him towards the wall, and there's nowhere that Ribeiro can go at that point then here. So, yeah, Enlund does end his race then here on the track, and going into the Joker. Anyone go Joker?
No, nobody's Joker. That's first opportunity. Paillet on the back of Torpainen. We know from Joni Torpainen that he is not flush with tyres at the moment. Ribeiro, has stopped as well. So Plaskovas could be a shock into the semi-finals here, having been right on the back of the grid here in the third row together with Mark Moser.
He didn't make it in Riga a few weeks ago, finished 5th in the quarterfinals, and that was ultimately as good as he would get. Torpainen, fastest man last time around, 6/10 of a second. The advantage he had over Fabien Paillet. Just a reminder, of course, with Paillet, they completely rebuilt that engine. He had a shocker in Riga at the start of the season, had to send it back off to ProDrive. They'd not seen the engine in 8 years. They had no idea what to do, and they got it turned around in 5 days. It was super, super impressive, and Paillet is rewarding the efforts of that manufacturer at the moment, sitting in P2 with the quickest lap last time around as well.
Not only had they not seen the engine, I'm sure they would have had all the drawings and the information, but they didn't have a dyno to test it on. It had previously been tested on the Cosworth dyno, and 8 years in engine development is a long time, so I'm sure Cosworth have done away with that a long time ago, so ProDrive had to make their own installation to dyno test the engine ahead of it coming here. Massive effort put in behind the scenes by all these teams, and Paillet, I think Tom will be more than happy to follow one of the leading lights of the championship just to make it through to the semis. Of course you want to win, but at the same time, Paillet, super experienced, French champion, nearly won the European title in 2021, knows it's about the long game, and he'll be satisfied to progress up to the next stage.
Yeah, Moser into the Joker last time around. He's got the pace to live with Plaskovas, though, who looks like he's going to be a sure foot into the semi-finals. The Lithuanian driver, 48 years of age. It's his first full season in Euro RX in a little bit of a while, couple of years since he was last on the grid, and he's doing a good job here in P3 for now, so it would be a progression forward into the next stages. Torpainen, though, still with pressure from Paillet on lap 4 out of 5. That, though, is Mark Moser, who's ended up in the wall at turn 1, we understand, as Torpainen goes into the Joker on the penultimate lap. He's got a cushion behind because Plaskovas has also gone in well, so it's worked out quite nicely there for Torpainen. He can now just run his own race, and presumably, unless he makes a mistake, he will retain and regain the the race lead once Paillet makes his joker here last time around.
Moses gone crawling past our commentary position and has now pulled off. I think he hasn't appeared on the first split of lap 4, so clearly drawn a line under today. It's been a rate of attrition in this one, hasn't it? Only 3 finishers, if all 3 do indeed make it to the end, and those are the 3 that are going to progress through and score the most championship points in this first of the knockout stages.
Yeah, you can see Paillet there. He will lose first position. He's not got the gap over Joni Torpainen. Torpainen, quickest man in that first sector on this particular lap. Here is Paillet then into the joker. There is Torpainen in the set promotion Fiesta. He's going to get it quite easily then here as Paillet re-emerges onto the circuit in second place. Out of the last corner we go though. Joni Torpainen will win it in the Ford Fiesta for quarter-final 3 here in Hungary, ahead of Fabian Paillet, and Paulius Plaskovas then in the Skoda will come over the line in P3. Good job for the Lithuanian driver, kept his nose pretty clean, didn't quite have the ultimate pace to live with the top 2, but nonetheless he is rewarded with a position in the semi-finals, his best race of the season so far. Confirmation of the results from QF3 then. Torpainen wins it, Paillet and Plaskovas will join him in the semi-finals. Then you'll have Moser, Enlund and also João Ribeiro, who failed to take the checkered flag, and they also all failed to finish that race there as well.
So,
well, there we go.
So I think we're going to see, this is Patrick O'Donovan returning to the Team RX Racing awning. I love the idling noise of a Euro RX1 supercar. Sam Clenor goes to the door. There's a wry smile on Sam Clenor's face, laughing with O'Donovan.
Oh, we're going to be
it'll be a laugh of relief, won't it, from Clenor? O'Donovan gets out of the car.
Yeah.
A hug with Ross Rucroft there.
I tell you what, it was a mega race there from Patrick O'Donovan. Let's have a look at what just happened a couple of moments ago, though, in QF3.
And that's the cut and thrust, isn't it? We've seen O'Donovan go from the super low to the super high. Martin Enlund had a good start, gets forced wide. It's still going okay at this point, hangs it wide. This contact then into turn 2 with Ribeiro is going to end both their weekends. Both drivers have had good form at different points.
Yeah.
Frustrating for both of them.
Problem is, he just left him in no man's land there on the outside, didn't it? It's such a shame. That's Mark Moses' skirmish into the barrier.
He's clipped the inside, hasn't he? Which is unusual here on your own. But yeah, mistakes happen, don't they?
Paillet didn't quite have the pace to live with Torpainen at the end of that one, but nonetheless, good job for him to get P2 and move forward into the semis. And let's get confirmation, though, of the grid for quarter-final 4 then. So Juha Rukkanen will line it on pole position with Damian Litvinovic alongside on that front row. Andor Trepak, the home driver, has had a tough time of things so far. He's got Anton Sepper for company on row 2. Row 3 should have been René Munich, but he's not going to be competing in this one. Clearly some problems with the car for the German driver, and Eddie Benazet will then be all on his own at the back of the field. Before we get this one underway, delighted to be joined by the man who will be moving forwards into the semi-finals against all the odds, Patrick O'Donovan. Mate, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I might get a bit of a message or a kick for saying this, but I feel like Kevin Hansen after that race. I was crying when I came in with happiness. I haven't had that before, and now I can relate, and I know what it feels like now. But I mean, I was just, yeah, I so full of emotions. I mean, the boys worked so tirelessly hard there for the hour and a half that they had. I mean, like that's the kind of work that you'd pay a normal garage to do in about 5 or 6 days.
Well, let's have a look at it then. So you get an absolute worldie off of the joker then here. You go to the inside of Rukkanen. Is you just to misjudge it, just clip the wall?
Yeah, of course, there's a bit of vision loss, obviously, went the crossover, but I knew there was going to be a bit of a gap. But also, when you went to the left there, of the right on your screen, obviously, I mean, when you go a little bit further right, coming out of the joker, there's a lot of gravel, so I anticipated a bit more wash, and when I came down, at my own misjudgment, I misjudged how much grip there would actually be, and I gripped up so much more than I anticipated and ended up clipping the wall just slightly, which started a chain reaction that sent me into the wall.
Well, it was a mega recovery. I just want to ask you about tyres going into the semis. What did you do in the corners? Did you stick a new boot on, or?
I had to there. I mean, I was completely done for, to be honest. I thought my weekend was over when I was sat inside the car there. The turnaround time was so tight, and I mean, the team, for them to do that, for Sam Clennon and all the boys that were on the car as well, I mean, it was just an absolute, it was something out of a dream.
Yeah. This is what it means, though. I see you embracing them down in the pit lane.
Patrick, you've driven under a lot of pressure there, and sometimes actually when you've been through something like that, when you're able just to drive free, I guess the start was quite stressful because you knew you wanted to get
Yeah, completely. I mean, like, it's when you have to overcome that bit of adversity, you know, it just helps to trigger flow state so much more easily.
Yeah, well, we can tell that you've worked hard. You're sweating away like mad, mate. Right, let's get this one underway then. Quarter-final for RX1 then. Ready to race board is on. Rukkonen's on pole position. Alongside on that front row is Litvinovic. Green light and go. Who's going to get the best start? Litvinovic trying to squeeze out Trepak then side by side with Rukkonen as they come down to the first corner. Rukkonen with the inside line. Litvinovic gets hung out to dry. Trepak slots into third place as they come over the rise and over the crest of the hill into turn 2. It's as you were at the front.
Exactly what Rukkonen needed there to get out front. This race made a little bit tactically easier because there's only 5 cars ready. Munich has withdrawn for reasons unknown. He did have a misfire actually, didn't he, at the end of Q4, so I wonder if they just can't solve that problem at the moment. Rukkonen got a bit of a margin at the front. Really, if Benezet jokers on this opening lap, that's really going to open the strategy up for the top 3 to do what they want to do.
Yeah, spot on there, Hal. He does go into the joker then on this opening lap, so that'll release him. Nose to tail, oh, he's spun in the joker, Eddie Benezet. That's a shame for the Frenchman. That's going to be an end to his weekend. Has he got suspension damage? Can he get the car going, crucially? It's not moving. We can see from our commentary position the car is still stuck there at the moment, and there will be wave yellows in that part of the lap.
You can just see in the back of that shot as well, Tom, that the yellow joker branding is off all the way down the joker, so he's got that early on the way in. The rear of the car have just gone loose, he'll have clipped the wall, he'll have ended up in a bit of a 360 with the inertia.
Litvinovic was a little bit wide on the entry into 4 there, just about managed to gather it all up. It wasn't quite Kristoffersson levels of spectacular sideways, but nonetheless, it was pretty interesting to see. There is the advertising audience missing, as you see Litvinovic into the joker from P2. Let's have a look at what happened, though, to Benezet. He's coming in then here.
Yeah, he's just dropped the rear, carried too much in, hasn't got it turned in, clipped the rear, the front goes in as well. Yeah, exactly as I thought. It's just that tie wall sucks you in and rotates the car around. Won't be loads of damage to the car, actually. Might have pushed the intercooler back a little bit, but it'll be mainly superficial. What a shame, though. Great to have Eddie here this weekend, competing at this level. Rukkonen, meanwhile, is just eking away out front. And again, like we saw from Kristoffersson, Patrick a little as well in the previous one, by the time you get to the last stage of the quarters, you're not pushing as hard as you might because you do need to conserve the tyre life.
I can't relate, Hal. I needed the best result I could possibly get there, so I was pushing quite hard. But I mean, of course, there's a little bit left, and you're not at 100%, but you're not far off. But of course, these boys will definitely be conserving tyres now. The pack's a little bit more spread out. I mean, Johan can definitely, he's got a bit of breathing room there. As long as he keeps his nose clean, he can definitely conserve a little bit and save him for the semi.
1.3 seconds the gap. Sorry, Tom.
No,
back to Trepak. Litvinovic 4.7. So actually, Rukkonen can get in and out and not lose out to Litvinovic. It's going to be much closer, though, between Trepak and the Polish Audi driver.
Yeah, I wonder who's going to go joker this time around. Trepak was quickest man last time around, so let's see how it works there for Andor Trepak. He's had a tough weekend as it stands for now. Doesn't go joker, does Rukkonen this time. Let's have a look at the start of lap 4 here.
Seppa.
That's what's happened to Seppa. I wonder where he's gone. He's dropped off the coattails of Trepak there, and ultimately it's cost him.
That's a much harder place to go into the wall than in the joker Benezet, wherein it's a much stiffer interface, so hopefully there's not too much damage to the Fabia.
Trepak's just taking it steady now, isn't he? I mean, look, he's driving fastest laps, obviously, but he could have gone joker last time around, maybe done a bit of a risk, caught up to the back of Rukkonen, but just deciding to play it safe at this point, I think. Follow Rukkonen home, get himself into the semis.
It's a tall feat to try and catch 1.4 seconds, especially on a driver as experienced as Rukkonen in just 1 lap. And I think, of course, he's going to be eating a little bit of time out as Rukkonen drives more conservatively, knowing that he's not going to have to try and go for an overcut or an undercut on Trepak. He can just take his time, get it to the line and save the tyres.
Yep, into the joker they go then on the final lap. Where's Litvinovic going to end up in relation to this? I think he might be close to Trepak, but Trepak does get the overspeed to the delight of the Hungarian fans. The horns are going mad in the grandstands here as Rukkonen will come over the line to win QF4 then in Hungary. Trepak over the line in P2 to secure his spot in the semi-finals, and Litvinovic over the line in P3. Anton Seppa, that mistake we saw from him earlier on in the race, ultimately costing him quite dearly, and he will go no further than the quarters.
Much like Patrick in the last one, there'll be a bit of a sigh of relief as well for Trepak there, because he's had a tough weekend so far. Just to finish second in a quarter-final gives you a reasonable grid slot for the semis later on, a second row start where he's delighted as well. We just cut away on the onboard there, but pumping the air was the Hungarian driver, who can now try and turn his weekend around, and the home fans clearly enjoyed it.
Exactly, yeah. Finished 6th in the semi-finals last time out, did Andor Trepak, and yeah, he'll be hoping for some more progress like that when it comes down to it later on this afternoon. So, confirmation of the quarter-final 4 results then. Juha Ruukkonen takes it from Andor Trepak, Damien Litvinovic, the last of the drivers who will progress into the semis. We lose Anton Seppa. We lost Eddie Benazet after that crash into the wall. Of course, Renault Munich never made the start of that race. You can see it wasn't a particularly brilliant launch, actually, from Ruukkonen, and it left Trepak trying to attack, but ultimately got boxed out by those 2 drivers going into turn 1. Had a gap on the inside, but no room to use that momentum.
Fairly aggressive off the line from Litvinovic to come straight across and then think, whoa, then turn back out of heading towards Ruukkonen. Shame for Seppa. Seppa's not had the start of the year he would have expected, having had a good appearance last season. New car for this year. I'm sure they'll be working hard on that ahead of the next round in Höljes, Sweden.
Yeah, there's Seppa's moment into the wall. This is the rejoin on the Joker for Andor Trepak, I beg your pardon, as he went through to take 2nd place. And there is Ruukkonen over the line in 1st position. Semi-finals will be along the way later on this afternoon. This man, Patrick O'Donovan, he'll be out in it. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on. But thank you so much for joining us here for the quarterfinals of RX1. We'll be bringing you all the action from about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Make sure that you join us for all of that to come. The semis and the finals in all of the different classes here this weekend in Hungary as we get ready to crown our winners. Take care, and we will see you then.